almost made it to Midtown Manhattan, and we look forward to seeing and meeting in person next time, and that's James Freeman. James, welcome. We're delighted to have you join us. I guess I should note, because some things happened over the summer, that we had a resignation. Avidan Rodriguez, the board member on SONYMA, who was the very much full-time president of SUNY Albany, and with a host of kind of obligations in that role, basically reached out to me and later Alex and Ruth Ann and announced, sort of with a fair amount of disappointment and frustration, that he really couldn't continue to serve just because of the obligations of a SUNY post. So, but we have gained a new friend and board member in James Freeman, and so we welcome James. And it takes I'll just sort of say by way of warning, James, that it takes a few meetings to get into the rhythm of this, because we have a unique way of doing business, because we have so much business to do to advance the affordable housing agenda of the state of New York and Governor Hochul. And it can be a little overwhelming and daunting, especially when you look at the board materials and you have 700 pages to look at and things like that. So in time, I assure you, this will start to make sense. But from the very onset, I encourage you to raise your hand, ask questions, and also seek out the incredible staff here between meetings, who would, I know, Ruth Ann, be delighted to give you an orientation to the programs and services of the multiple agencies here. Of course, SONYMA, the one in which you serve. So again, it'll take some time to get used to all of this. We thank you for your participation, and we should get started. Alex, would you take the formal steps to open today's meetings, please?
Okay, I will do that. So the governor's executive order, in response to the continuing impact of COVID-19, has extended the exemption to the open meetings law that provides that public bodies may meet to take actions without permitting public in-person access to such meetings, and authorizes meetings to be held remotely by conference call, provided that the public has the ability to view or listen to such proceedings, and that the meetings are recorded and later transcribed. As a result, today's board meetings are being held via conference call instead of at a public meeting open for the public to attend in person. But as you can see, certain board members and staff are present at the agency's offices at 641 Lexington Avenue in New York City. Nevertheless, a call-in number has been made public so that any interested persons of the public can listen to the proceedings. A public notice of the meeting has also been posted. So now I'm going to ask for motions and seconds to call to order the September 8th, 2022 meetings. I will first start with motions and a second for HFA, the Housing Finance Agency, Housing Trust Fund Corporation, and the Affordable Housing Corporation, all of which share the same board. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second. It's me.
Yep. So now I'm going to ask each member of HFA, HTFC, and AHC to record their votes individually. We will use these votes as items are voted on throughout today's meetings. We have Ken, Ruth Ann.
Aye.
Chris.
Aye.
Joyce, have you been able to join us? No? We'll wait for Joyce. Jesse?
Aye.
On.
I believe Joyce is on, just muted.
Oh, okay. Joyce. Okay. We'll get back to Joyce, but we'll count her as present for now. We know B is here, and James McIntyre.
Yeah, aye.
So we have a quorum for HFA, AHC, and HTFC. I'm going to ask a motion a second for the HFA Finance and Program Committee. That's a simple one.
So moved.
It's Jesse, so moved.
Right, Ken and Jesse.
I'll second it.
Okay, then I'm going to ask for a motion for SONYMA. So motion to open SONYMA.
So moved.
Dave, a second. Mr.
Second.
Freeman. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ken.
Aye.
Ruth Ann.
Aye.
Joyce. Okay. Jesse.
Aye.
And B.
Aye.
Okay, perfect. Now we're going to open up the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee. Can I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Dave, a second.
Aye. Second.
Chairman Adams, Ruth Ann.
Alex, this is John Bell, and I'm on by phone, not by Zoom, I can switch that, but we had a blowout of our internet. But I was not called.
No problem, John. I think you can participate via phone, so we'll note that John is.
We've got Mark John present.
Mike, he's present both for SONYMA and for the mortgage insurance. So we have a Mick. So we've got Dave, Jonathan, Ken, Jesse, and Ruthann. Mick is open. Then we're going to open up MBBA and TSFC. Can I have a motion for MBBA?
Moved.
Andy, and a second?
Second.
Ken, and we'll have Jesse. Aye. And Linda Baldwin.
Aye.
Okay, so that's open. And now we're going to open up the SONYMA, HFA, AHC, MBBA, and TSFC governance committees. I apologize for all this because today we have a large agenda. So for HFA, AHC governance, that's Ken, Jesse, and Chris. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Ken, second.
Second, Chris.
Chris and Jesse. Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. That's open. Now for the SONYMA governance committee. Can I have a motion to open that?
So move.
Dave, and a second.
I'll second it.
Ken, Jesse,
Aye.
Jonathan,
Present.
John, you there?
I hear,
Yeah.
and Ruthann.
Aye.
Okay, and for MBBA and TSFC, that's Ken, Jesse, and Linda. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Ken, second.
Jesse.
Jesse and Linda.
Aye. Me here.
Okay. Now we're going to open up the audit committees. So first we're going to do HFA and AHC. That's Ken, Jesse, and Chris. Motion.
So moved.
Ken, second.
Jesse, second.
Jesse and Chris.
Aye.
Okay. For SONYMA, that's Ken, Jesse, and Joyce. So motion.
So moved.
Move.
Ken and Jesse,
Second.
second.
Thanks.
Joyce. Okay. And for MBBA and TSFC, that's Ken, Joyce, Jesse, and Andy. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Ken and a second.
I heard Andy.
Second.
Andy. Okay.
Thanks, Andy.
Good ear. And Joyce. And we have Jesse. Aye. Okay, and I believe then we have HTFC. HTFC is Ken, Chris, and Jesse. So can I open HTFC audit?
Yes. So moved.
Ken, second.
Second, Jesse.
Jesse and Chris.
Aye.
All right. So with that gauntlet run through,
You don't have any more, Alex? That's enough?
that's it. The various meetings of the various boards and of the audit and governance committee, as well as oh no, you know what? I'm sorry. HFA finance and program.
Uh-oh. So moved.
And second,
Second,
I
Jesse.
believe that's Jesse,
Jesse.
and that's open. Oh my
Okay.
goodness. That's it. We're all open.
Great. Can we see, can someone try to reach out to Joyce and see if she's having a kind of connectivity problem? Joyce, just a little test here. Joyce Miller, are you there?
Lillian is saying that she's back online. So
Maybe Lil can try, maybe she's muted. Joyce, if you're muted, we can't hear you. We'd love to hear your voice this morning. I will work on that. Alex, thank you very much for opening up all of today's meetings of various organizations and subcommittees. Let's turn now to Ruthann for her, and we haven't done this since July, Ruthann, but for your usually monthly
President's
Commissioner's report, President's report.
Well, August wasn't too busy, so I won't be too long, I don't think. But good morning, everybody, and welcome back in person. I hope everybody had a great summer and was able to get out across not just the great state of New York, but wherever else your travels may have taken you. We come back today with an agenda filled with important items from several program areas, but there's a couple that I'm going to talk about more specifically. So back in May, we issued a NOFA, Notice of Funding Availability, to select a CDFI to be a program administrator for this new program called the Climate Friendly Homes Fund. So as you may remember, we got $250 million in last year's state budget to fund 10,000 units of multifamily rental housing over the next 5 years to convert them from into electric heating and cooling, or to make them as electric ready heating cooling as we can be. This is part of the state's Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act. And so we are really excited. We were very excited to get the money. We think it's very sort of forward leading to be giving out funding to small multifamily properties in order to get them to electrify. Initially, we're going to prioritize funding for properties that are 50 units or less that are currently either subject to a reg agreement or in a low income area. So we're trying to into the climate justice lens of the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, making sure that we're focusing on those buildings. Obviously, as we progress, we may change the criteria to make more buildings eligible. Samantha Pierce, who you all have heard from before, who's our Vice President of Sustainability, is going to provide a sort of breakdown of how the program is going to run and the CDFI that we have chosen. But we are really excited. It's a really big movement for us in the overall CLCPA goals for the state. And so we're excited about that. Also, over the summer, we made almost 24 housing announcements. It was great time to be out doing ribbon cuttings and ground breakings all over. It's always good to get both into the communities that we serve and also inside the buildings to see the sort of brick and mortar. And we had a lot of really wonderful events this summer. If you haven't seen them, I always would encourage folks, you can check out our HGR newsletter. We also have a YouTube page where the agency has been posting videos from some of the events. We've been gone in and sort of, you can actually see inside some of our properties what they look like. We do some sort of walkthroughs so people can see what it looks like. And along those lines, today we're going to bring 7 projects that were selected through our 9% low-income housing tax credit RFP, which you all have seen before. The 7 projects represent $30 million in investments and create over 400 units of housing. And these are also projects that align with these same goals around healthier communities, climate-friendly, building more diverse, more accessible communities. So we're excited to be doing projects that span economic development regions across the state, both big and small. You'll see things in Brooklyn, Utica, Croton-on-Hudson, and Saranac Lake, among others. Saranac Lake. Next, we're also going to ask for approval to award our 5th Legacy Cities. So if you all remember, we launched Legacy Cities as a way to assist land banks who are sitting on a lot of distressed properties in upstate cities to get those back into use. So we're going to award make an award to the Capital Region Land Bank to develop 9 1 to 3 family homes in the city of Amsterdam. So we're really, originally when we had launched the program, it was a limited number of cities. We've opened it up, so we're excited to have more communities are transforming their blighted buildings into newly renovated move-in homes. And, you know, we also have been trying to expand affordable homeownership opportunities across the state, especially for first-time home buyers, especially for households of color. So this program is advancing those efforts, and we're really excited to bring that to the board today. And lastly, I just wanted to talk about sort of the HUD issue that we've been monitoring since pre-COVID, but that's kind of rearing its head a little bit. So the Housing Trust Fund Corporation operates sort of a contract with HUD called the Performance-Based Rental Assistance Program, PBCA, Performance-Based Contract Administration, sorry, for a project-based rental assistance portfolio across the state. And so just sort of generally, the project-based rental assistance services about 16,000 units across the country. It provides 2 million people and 1 million families with housing. We serve about 100,000 households across New York State with that contract. So HUD contracts to us, and we work with a series of administrators to manage the contracts. So HUD has recently re-RFPing for that contract, and they are, it has historically been contracts with public housing authorities, of which we are one, and they are expanding that criteria so that private companies can come in and operate those contracts. They had launched an RFP a couple of years ago, and it was sort of unsuccessful on a bunch of technical reasons, and so they had to pull it back, and now they're out with a new RFP that essentially abandons the sort of long-standing and successful partnership between HUD and the public housing authorities, and the current structure of the solicitation will really minimize the role of public housing authorities, which is a shame, and obviously loses a lot of the expertise and the partnership with the residents and the communities. So we are strongly recommending to HUD to reconsider its approach in this draft solicitation. We sent a letter to Secretary Fudge asking HUD to reconsider their approach, and they made a change in the comment period. So they put the RFP out for comment. They extended it by 30 days. We didn't really have a lot of time to even go through what's quite a dense RFP. But we're hoping that this time will both allow us and other state housing agencies to continue to be vocal about really urging HUD to keep these project-based rental assistance contracts with housing authorities and HFAs across the state, and not try to privatize in an effort to reduce costs, but really in a way that we think will be at the detriment of both the buildings and the residents. So that's, I shouldn't end on a negative note, but we're just sort of to flag that we're watching that. It's a big deal for the Housing Trust Fund Corporation, and we'll keep you updated on that. So with that, I'll turn it back to you.
Great, thanks, Ruth Ann. You know, I mentioned President Avidan Rodriguez's resignation from the board with him, but I should have also noted that Elaine Gross is, I'm not sure it's effective yet, but Elaine is unfortunately resigning.
I think it is effective.
From our board.
Yes, I think it's effective.
Yeah, and
already.
again, just because this happened over the summer, and
Yep.
for board members and colleagues who were not aware of this, I mean, this is sort of a good personal story. Elaine is retiring from her role in Long Island and moving to Western Massachusetts, to the Berkshires, and going into a new phase of her life. And I think very much looking forward to that, but it means that she can no longer serve. We don't tend to have board members here from out of state. She can no longer serve on the board. And we had some nice correspondence over the summer about that, and thanked her for her service. And I just want to point out the importance of Elaine's advocacy over the last several years around really the sort of rigorous, if not enforcement, the importance of being mindful of and doing everything we can to advance fair housing and the Fair Housing Act and legislation. Elaine was just a tireless advocate for fair housing. And we'll miss that advocacy, as I've noted to her. And we will, I guess, continue to solicit a new board member to replace her.
I think Mr. Freeman is the replacement.
Oh, for Elaine,
great.
not for Avidan?
For Elaine, yes.
Okay,
Oh.
great. Then we'll have, happy to have
But we still have one more.
James Freeman in that spot. But again, these are by statute relatively small boards that have a lot of land to cover, a lot of material to cover. So we'll need to find a replacement for Avidan. Thanks very much. Ruth Ann, now we have some administrative items, I think, Alex, to take care of that are part of the governance committee right up first.
Yes. So,
and let's take a look, everybody.
item one.
Item 1, minutes of the governance committee meeting held on June 9th shall be deemed approved absent corrections from members or directors. So I hope everybody's all right with that. We've got some committee consent items. They don't require discussion unless anyone wants to initiate a discussion, and that would be fine. Item 2, contracts with the Benefit Resource and ADP. Alex, can you make this happen?
Okay, assuming no questions. Now, this is before the HFA, AHC, and SONYMA governance committees, and it's a resolution that was transmitted in connection with the item in the committee book. Assuming the first and seconds from those committees that we took earlier, all in favor of approving this item, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motions are carried and the resolution adopted.
3 is an approval of the advertising, placement, marketing, and consultant services contract with Dixon Schwabel Advertising, Inc.
This is only for SONYMA. That's an important contract for SONYMA marketing its programs. So before the SONYMA Governance Committee, a resolution transmitted in connection with the item, assuming the first and seconds for SONYMA. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
4 is an
Sorry,
approval.
Alex, maybe I should get on a Zoom. I just don't have the service. I was going to ask you for just a little more of a description for the meeting of the activities undertaken by the company. The
Okay. Let me
Alex,
ask
do you want
if,
to chime in?
please. Thank you.
Okay, so Dixon Schwabel has been handling the advertising for SONYMA for the past 3 years. We do social advertising on Instagram and Facebook, as well as online ads, which are programmatic, which means basically whatever you're searching for. When we find people that are searching for first-time home buyers or down payment assistance, the ads kind of automatically get sent to them, just like it does on your Facebook. We've had tremendous success with them, and they are a fantastic partner. But to give you a solid example, since March 2022, we have had over 100,000 visits to our website generated directly from our ads, which means someone sees an ad, they click on it, and they're taken to the website. And that's a very solid, if not better than solid, click-through rate. Is that helpful?
And just to add,
Yeah, that's very
John,
helpful.
and just to add to John's question, this is one item where state law requires, under our SONYMA statute, that SONYMA advertise to, quote, generate maximum participation by potential mortgagors. And that's the state law. As I think John also knows, under the federal law, there are requirements also to advertise the SONYMA program. So it's a very important, that's why I mentioned earlier, it's a very important contract, and they're doing a great job.
So this is an
B?
interesting
Thank you.
conversation. May I?
Please.
So the click-through rates are interesting, but where are they going once they click through, right? Like which pages are they really landing on and which programs are they really interested in?
Well, B, I wish I had a better answer for you, but I don't. There is, and it's not fault or no fault, but there's something called, if I'm right, Google Tag Manager, which is used by, basically the universe, I guess, at this point. And you tag the pages, and then when they click through, I could tell you exactly that. Unfortunately, ITS does not support Google Tag Manager, so we are unable to report on which pages they are going to. But that's on the other side of the world, not Dixon's side of the world.
Right. Well, it seems like that's a big gap for us, right? In terms of really being able to analyze what pages people are looking at and what programs generate the most interest.
I agree with you. It would be helpful. But, we spoke to them last year and then again this year, just maybe 2-3 months ago over the summer, and it's still not possible. So I can't really help in this particular area.
B and John, anything else for Ann while we have Ann on the line here, talking about the ad campaign?
You want to come up? Betsy was going to maybe add a.
Betsy?
I just wanted to clarify which Ann, I'm not sure is clear, that our website is hosted centrally by the state central ITS team. So unfortunately, we don't have the ability to make those choices, but we agree.
Thanks, Betsy.
All right, thank you, Betsy. Should we proceed, Alex, to put this to a vote?
So now before the SONYMA committee, the governance committee, a resolution transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and seconds from SONYMA, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Terrific. Item 4 is approval to amend the master services agreement that we have with Sierra Digital, Inc. for SAP application management services. Any questions about this item? Alex?
Okay, now before the HFA committee only is a resolution transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the first and seconds from HFA, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Great. The remaining 5 items on the agenda are information items. There won't be any discussion of them unless committee members so request. And they go like this. Number 5, annual review of the SONYMA Custody Services Agreement with the Bank of New York and the HFA SONYMA Financial Reporting Services Contract with Bloomberg LLP. Item 6 is an annual review of the Insurance Consultant Services Contract with Insurance Advisors. 7 is an annual review of the HFA contract with Sustainalytics US for climate bond certification services, and the agency's financial printing contracts with ImageMaster LLC. Item 8 is the annual review of the master service agreement that we have with M&T Bank. And 9 is the annual review of the contract with Emphasis Software. Any questions about any of those items which are documented in the board materials? Alex?
There is, assuming the first and seconds previously entered for all 5 governance committees, all in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, the meetings are adjourned. The next governance committee meeting are scheduled to meet on Thursday, December 15th.
So we need someone out there to mute a phone, please. Great. Well, members of the governance committee, please don't go anywhere. I know we don't need you again until for this purpose until December, but we need you for the rest of today. So let's continue to the audit committee agenda. Alex, item 1, minutes of the audit committee meeting held on June 9th, 2022 shall be deemed approved absent corrections from members and directors. Again, a moment here to see if anyone has suggestions or corrections for the agenda of the June, or sorry, the minutes of the June audit committee. Okay. Number 2, resolution recommending the approval of the administrative budget request and financial plans for FY23. We're going to get our friend Daryl Johnson, the CFO, to come forward and make this presentation.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioner.
Morning,
Board
everyone.
members, how are you?
I want to make sure you're, yes, you're green. You got a green light. Good, sir.
So today I'm here asking for approval for the fiscal year 2023 administrative budget. The requested budget amount is $99.9 million. It's 2% over the fiscal year 2022 approved budget. Salaries represent about 54% of that budget.
Daryl, we may need to take a
It's
phone.
John. Oh, John, can you mute?
Oh, it's John. Oh, here we are. I'm blaming
Thank
Joyce.
you.
I got the wrong.
I did it.
I thought it was Joyce.
We both did.
John should know. What's he doing?
We're in trouble, man.
Super. Sorry, Daryl.
Okay,
John, we got to
okay.
keep it on mute. Okay, Daryl, sorry. Maybe you might want to start again so everybody can hear.
Sure. Okay, so I'm here for approval of the fiscal year 2023 budget. We're asking for $99.9 million. It's 2% over, 1.99% over the fiscal year 2022 approved budget.
Imagine the 2% cap.
54% of the budget ask is to support the salaries. The remaining 46 is for the OTPS, the other than personal services, which would be your rent, audit, travel, et cetera. We generally have 2 types of expenses. We have allocated and we have direct expenses. Allocated expenses include salaries, which are allocated based on an employee's work effort. So for instance, if I work 50% on HFA, 50% on SONYMA, my salary would be allocated accordingly. We have other allocated expenses for, we call them common costs, such as your rent, office supplies, cleaning. Those are allocated 50% to SONYMA, 50% to HFA. SONYMA's portion is further allocated 75% to the single family business and 25% to the MIF. I'm sorry. If you check on page 20, that's where we have the budget and financial plans for all 5 agencies. These plans project out through 2026 for AHC's 2027, what we feel the budgetary needs will be and what the results will be of operations. We believe that we have a strong revenue forecast for HFA, SONYMA, and TSFC. MBBA and AHC will still need some financial support from HFA. All right. And I'm not going to be long. Lastly, I just want to say that I think that we believe that the administrative ask is going to be sufficient to support the fiscal needs for 2023. There's a lot of information in this package. Does anybody have any specific questions that they want me to answer on the budget or the financial plans?
Daryl, I just have, why does TSFC need assistance from HFA?
Not TFFC, MBBA and AHC.
Oh, AIDS.
I'm going to give Andy a raise. Daryl, I have a question. You know, it's hard to keep the expenses for a lot of reasons in this environment under 2%, as you have done.
Right.
And I just wonder, usually our biggest expenses are our people. And I wonder, just as we emerge, let's hope, from the pandemic, in general terms, you know, as an HR matter, but of course then a budgetary matter, have we lost? I would assume we've lost people, you know, retirements, great resignations, things like that, and that there's always work to fill those vacant lines. There could be a gap, which could produce some short-term savings, but how are we doing, you know, managing that, and how does that affect payroll on the broader budget?
Okay. I mean,
right, just to, you know.
I can't speak specifically for accounting, I guess, sort of generally for the agency. We do have normal attrition throughout the agency. I think a lot of that's managed by making sure there's a lot of good cross-training. So that helps with the effort. And also we try to backfill critical positions relatively quickly so that we don't have a void and, loss of those particular job functions.
Right. Ruth Ann, would you agree that staffing feels okay? You guys?
I think everybody sitting behind me would say they feel short on
There are
staff.
fewer people and fewer chairs every time we meet.
We lose a lot of, we get a lot of great people that come in, and we're sort of, in some ways, I think sometimes are a training ground in different parts of the agency, people who then spin out into either our same, a different seat in our same sector, or sort of a different sector into the private sector for sort of somewhat obvious reasons around sort of salary and other things. So I think it's a constant, battle of people who come in and get good experience and leave, and then we get new people and they have to get trained. And so we have probably, I don't know, maybe 20 job openings that we're hiring for, but we're super active and we're onboarding people all the time. I don't know, is that right, Betsy? You think we have about 20?
We have more vacancies than that simply because we amended the budget in the summer to increase for the housing plan, but we have in actively recruiting, it's probably a little bit more than that. But
Yeah. So we're right now, I think, in a period of sort of staffing up both for the housing plan and also for some folks that have left, and hopefully the next 30, 60, 90 days
Right.
will feel a little less pressure with some more staff onboarded.
Great. Well, no, good luck. I mean, I just flag it because obviously in certain city agencies, they're, down 20% headcount, right?
It's hard to hire generally.
Right. So a lot of people have left the public workforce, and it's not easy to find people in an environment of labor scarcity, right? And I just wondering how these agencies were faring, again, compared to other agencies where you really see MTA and some of the New York City agencies have lost a lot of people and are scrambling to hire these days.
Yeah.
Same problem in the private sector.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One question. Do you think that the agency actually could use more resources for the coming, especially given the complexities of the world around us, the federal government programs that are coming down, there's a lot of need in this world around housing. Should it be up even more, even during this short period, to support what are fully resource the agency to handle a lot of that?
I mean, I think we feel pretty good about this. We spent a lot of time looking at the staffing, and, with the federal, programs, and many of them we're getting admin that can pay for salaries, which is helpful. And that's mostly you'd see that on the HTFC side, so not on HFA, SONYMA. And I also think as additional federal, I didn't actually mention the Inflation Reduction Act in my comments, but obviously that's where I think us and everyone else in the world is trying to find details about that are a little bit elusive in terms of what's going to come down to, certainly for us parochially as a housing agency, and then trying to figure out how to staff up to be able to implement as needed. But I think here on the HFA SONYMA side, we spent a lot of time in this. I think we felt pretty comfortable. Again, we have a lot of job openings right now. So once we get all those sort of filled, I think we'll be better able to reassess whether we feel like we need more beyond that.
Last, at least for me, question, Ruth, and I think we'd be remiss if we didn't check in with Jesse. Jesse, you've got the bird's eye view of the budgets here and across other state agencies. I assume you're comfortable with this proposal?
Yeah, so we worked with the folks at HCR, the great team there, and we're comfortable with it. We appreciate the work they put into it, and and as Betsy said, to just echo some of the questions about sufficient staffing, just a reminder that we modified this year's budget over the previously to sort of incorporate additional resources for the housing plan. So although year over year you're seeing 2% growth, just remember that in the base already was, for the current year, was already grown.
Great. Thank you, Jesse.
Can I just want to add that, because of the current market environment, and we understand that outside salaries, particularly for accountants, are generally higher than they pay in government. So we make a concerted effort not only to have, backup support twice, 3 times, but also to encourage people to be mobile and to learn their jobs and look for other positions within our department or other departments so they have mobility and career growth. So that's how we try to help stimulate people to stay and grow within HCR.
Yeah, an important retention strategy, professional development. Good. Thanks very much. Daryl, questions, any other questions from members or directors for Daryl on the budget presentations this morning? Great. Okay. Alex, let's do it.
Now before the HFA, SONYMA, MBBA, and TSFC committees is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and seconds from all the committees, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Joyce, good. We heard Joyce. We heard you, Joyce, this time. That was great. Thank you, everybody. Number 3, and thank you, Daryl. Number 3 is approval of the internal audit's IT audit and risk assessment report. And this is another, I think we have another presentation.
Yes. Hanim
From Hanim.
Hanim, are you on?
No, she's by. Oh, there she is. Looking for you on the screen. Good morning.
Hi. Nice to see you, finally.
Yeah, really.
Everyone, hi. I will be short. We performed, the audit started at the end of the last year. And since we had the limited resources.
Please ask you to speak up, because people in the room can't.
Okay. Yeah, so we started the audit in November of the last year. And the initial report was ready in March of this year. We a little bit postponed the presentation just to give management enough time to update the success on implementation. So generally, this report and the effort itself was very successful. We covered basic IT areas. It was limited scope in terms of, not too much technicalities, just the general controls. We evaluate the system and processes regarding the data security. We determined if there is any information asset risks and method to minimize that risk. We ensured that information management process are in compliance with regulations and the standards of IT that are applicable both to the ITS side and also the public authority side. And we also determined if there was any deficiencies, and we provided list of recommendations. Most of the recommendations were fully accepted by the management, and we will continue to look into the recommendations that were made to to follow up on them, and if there is any other ideas that management can suggest, we will update our recommendations going forward to make them practical. And generally, the conclusion of this report was that we recommended management to make improvements in the areas of business continuity and sustainability of IT operations and vendor management, human resources and segregation of duties, system and data security, and update of policies and procedures. So it was the 4 areas that we mainly recommended our improvements. And if there's any questions, I can cover these questions. Now I'm asking for approval of this report.
Hanim, just a quick question, because you in internal audit have a lot of ground to cover. When's the next time you'll come back to IT? What's the audit cycle for this audit?
It's a very interesting question that you asked. Yesterday, DFS asked me the same question. So we would think 6 months.
Okay.
6 months from the day that report was, finalized. We will think about another review, and generally we will do this every year, like annual base. But since the sensitivity of and also progress of this area, we will apply 6 months.
Yeah, no, I would say based on the findings and recommendations to management on these critical areas, you want to keep 6 months. I guess this is reasonable to management, but very important to stay on top of the implementation of the recommendations.
Absolutely.
Great. Any questions for Hanim? Alex?
Okay, now before HFA, AHC, SONYMA, MBBA, and TSFC audit committees is a resolution transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the first and seconds from those committees, all in favor, please say aye.
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 One aye.
We need some more ayes, people.
More ayes.
Get some ayes on the
The
table.
motion's been carried and the resolution.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you to Khanim. Next two items are informational. No discussion of them unless people so desire. Number 4, financial statement updated for the second quarter of fiscal 22 and the first quarter of fiscal 23 for AHC. And 5, budget and financial plan for the second quarter of fiscal 22 and the first quarter of fiscal year 23 for, again, AHC. Our last item is also an informational item. It's the presentation of the Ernst & Young audit plan. And do we have special guests from EY today to do this?
I think they're on via Zoom, right? Darryl? Ernst & Young? Ernst & Young, are they on for their presentation?
Yeah. Hey, good morning, Danielle Hurlbert is
Hey,
here.
there, hey, there we are.
There we go.
Good morning.
Good morning, all. Thank you for having me. I'll just take a minute on your meeting today. Really just want to allow the opportunity in case anyone has any questions. Our audit plan for the fiscal year 2022 audits of the 5 agencies was included in your materials. And I'll maybe just touch really briefly on the executive summary page, which is page 1 of our audit plan. I think page 116 of 176, if I looked at the materials correctly. And really just point out that we are sort of kicking off the audit. We are in the audit planning phase right now for the audits of the 4 agencies that have fiscal years that end in October. So that would be HFA, SONYMA, MBBA, and TSFC. And so included in your materials is really just a summary of our intended audit plan. I will say that we do reassess that plan each year. We go through a scoping depending on the activity of the agency, of all the agencies. And so included in your materials are some brief summaries around what we call our areas of emphasis for the audit. But I would say overall, those tend to be pretty similar year over year, as the financial statements and the financial results of each of those entities tends to be fairly consistent year over year. I'll say a couple things maybe to point out that are new or different this year. One being the implementation of the SAP application. So that's going to be a new general ledger application as well as other features of that version that I know the agencies have been going through for several years. And so the actual sort of turning on of that new application during the year will have some additional audit considerations that we will go through. So we're sort of building out our procedures right now on that. And really that's around the conversion of data. So taking data from the old system and that now has to map to the new system. And so we will do some testing of the conversion that happened just a couple months ago. And so we will include in our audit results presentation a summary of our audit of those conversion procedures. And so just wanted to point that out. And maybe one other thing to point out that will be new is one new accounting standard that will be adopted by the agencies in those financial statements this year. And that's around lease accounting. And so just some changes there that require leases to be recorded in a little bit of a different way and actually require the recognition of an asset and a liability for those lease obligations. And so again, something that we'll have a summary on as part of our audit results documentation and meeting and presentation that we will do back to this committee in January. And so we will be sure to walk through the accounting for that and the impacts to the financial statements, as well as any additional footnote disclosures if there are any that are required by the agencies. So I'd say that those are probably, really the new things to hit or different things to hit for the audit, the financial statement audits this year. And otherwise, I would say consistent timing. We, expect to perform the audits throughout really the months of October through January. And like I said previously, report back results for the 4 agencies at your January meeting.
Great, thank you very much, Danielle. Any questions for Danielle on the process? John, is that you?
I just have one question.
Oh, Andy, please.
Can you hear me? Yeah, I just have one question for Alex. Is this an informational item, or should this be an action item to approve this audit plan?
No, this is an information item.
Was the plan ever approved by the board at all, or no?
No, I don't think the plan is ever approved. I think we just get a presentation and then the board approves the audit at the end in January.
Oh, okay. That's all. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Andy, and thanks again to Danielle. If there are any other questions?
Okay. So that's the end for the audit committee meeting. Assuming the first and seconds previously entered for all 5 committees, all in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
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 The motions are carried. The meetings are adjourned. As I said before, the next audit committee meeting is the same day as governance, December 15th.
Thank you, Alex. Now, everyone, we are done with our committee meetings this morning. We can begin the board meeting. So we start all over in terms of the numbering of the items, and starting with number 1, approval of the transcript of the meetings that we held back in July 14th, 2022. Which transcript shall be deemed approved absent corrections from members or directors? Anybody have comments, corrections for the transcript of the meeting of July 14th, our last meeting? Hearing none, we can move to the shared action items, starting with number 2, a resolution approving the administrative budget request and financial plans for FY23. Now, some of you with good memories will recall we talked about this with Darrell about 15 minutes ago at the audit committee, and you all heard that. So it's now before the boards for approval at the board level. There'll be no discussion unless board members so request, and that could happen if a board member didn't want to ask a question during the earlier presentation of the committee. So again, I'll pause to see if anybody has a question. We can get Darrell back here to the stand. Or we can proceed. All right, Alex, let's do that.
All right. Now before the HFA, SONYMA, MBBA, and TSFC board is a resolution transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the first and seconds from those boards for this item, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motions are carried and the resolution is adopted.
Great. Thank you all. We're now going to move to shared information items. Warning to James Friedman, this is not the most exciting part of today's meeting. There'll be no discussions on the next 7 items on the agenda unless board members so request. 3, current agency procurements in the lobbying law restricted period. 4, review of 3rd quarterly procurement report for the period ending July 31st, 2022. 5, quarterly investment reports for the period ending April 30th, 2022. 6, the financial statement update, the second one for the 2nd quarter of FY22 and for the 1st quarter of FY23, and that's an AHC financial statement. 7 is the budget and financial plan for the 2nd quarter fiscal 22, the 1st quarter fiscal 23, again for AHC. And 8 is a review of the independent audit contracts with Ernst & Young LLP. We just had an update on that. Thank you very much, Danielle. 9 is the MIF, or the Mortgage Insurance Fund Activity Report, always an important item, important informational item. You have questions about that. We're going to have Mike at the stand in a moment. For August 2022. Any questions on those items right through item 9? Alex, I think it's time to
Yep. The only
close
thing
up.
I would say is on the 3rd quarter procurement report, once again, our MWB numbers are like stratospheric. I think Lisa mentioned something like 70% for the period. So kudos to everybody.
Yeah, that's a good catch. Thank you, Alex, for mentioning that. We forget that we generally lead state government in this important goal of, far exceeding the governor's expectations for MWB procurement.
Wanda Graham's legacy continues.
Well, that would be Veronica, and I don't know if Veronica's here. I'm looking around, but exactly, Veronica at the helm of the great work by Wanda Graham for many, many years. So, Alex, I think with that, you may want to take action.
Andy and Linda will be happy to hear that there are no further items for MBBA and TSFC. So I'm going to ask for a motion in a second to adjourn the MBBA and TSFC board meetings. All in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
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 Thanks, Linda. The next MBBA and TSFC meetings.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. December 15th at 9 a.m.
And Andy will report in on the start of the bill season because it'll be December by then. They'll be well underway. Linda and Andy, thank you very much for joining us today, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Now we're going to move to items requiring the Mortgage Insurance Committee action. So we start with number 10. Resolution approving 100% mortgage insurance. Now, again, a heads up to James Freeman. Now we're actually going to start to talk about projects where we finance the construction of affordable housing. This is where it gets good. Resolution approving 100% mortgage insurance on a $3,256,990 permanent first mortgage loan originated by CPC for 329-245 50th Street, and that's in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, New York. And here to present this item and the other items of the Mortgage Insurance Fund for the Mortgage Insurance Committee is Mike Friedman. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. This project comprises the mod rehab of 48 units. Although they are restricted to tenants with incomes up to 60% of AMI, they are affordable between 20 and 28% of AMI. So it's a very affordable project. In addition to the almost $3.3 million of CPC first mortgage debt, there's about $7 million of HPD new debt plus assumed debt. The project is being developed by the Fifth Avenue Committee, a well-regarded developer of affordable housing in Brooklyn. And this is the fourth loan that we have insured for entities controlled by the Fifth Avenue Committee. What's interesting is our total exposure is only $11 million. And while there are 4 loans, there are 3 different lenders. We insure 2 CPC loans, a LISC loan, and a LIF loan.
Right. Right.
The insured loan amount is $68,000 per unit, which equals 29% of the project's total development cost of $230,000 per unit. And the project would break even with a pro forma 11% vacancy loss or a 12% increase in operating expenses.
Mike, thank you. Questions for Mike about this project in Sunset Park? It's kind of a bread and butter project for Fifth Avenue Committee, long run by Michelle de la Housse, who's, I think you would agree, just a real leader in New York City affordable housing, and a member of City Planning Commission last I checked.
Yeah, I
Or
think
was.
she still is.
Yeah. Mike, any questions for Mike on this? If not, let's do it.
Now before the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee is a resolution transmitted in connection with the item, assuming the first and second previously entered for the Mortgage Insurance Committee. All in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution.
Great.
Thank you. The motion is carried. The resolution adopted.
Good project, Mike. Let's continue. Number 11, a resolution of SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee approving a $1,550,000 increase on a $3,150,000 CPC permanent first mortgage loan to an aggregate amount, you do the math, $4,700,000 for this project, which is 122 and 130 Remsen Street, which is in Albany. Mike, you want to give us an update on this, please?
This project was originally approved in May of 2019. And it has suffered from substantial cost increases due to COVID. Plus, they've added some upgrades. The rents have been, the projected rents have increased from about 70% of AMI to between 70 and 80% of AMI, which provides sufficient additional rental income to support the additional debt.
And it's done, right?
Yeah.
It's built.
Yes. It's done. It's leased. It's leased at the new higher rents.
Right. Well, after, let's see, 3 years, despite the challenges of COVID, it's not a bigger project in construction, so it should be done. Good.
Right.
Questions for Mike about this project in Albany on Remsen Street? An increase in the mortgage insurance amount.
All right. So
all right.
Now before the Mortgage Insurance Committee, a resolution that was transmitted in connection with the item, assuming the first and second previously entered for the committee. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion is carried. The resolution adopted.
Thank you, everybody. Let's go to 12, a similar situation, proposal for an increase. It's a resolution of SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee to approve a $750,000 increase on a $2,600,000 CPC permanent first mortgage loan to an aggregate amount of $3,350,000. This proposed increase is for a project at 163-167 Broadway and also 64 Nash Street, and these are both in Andy's home turf of Buffalo. Mike, you want to talk about these for a minute?
Sure. So this project had construction cost increases related to the pandemic. It also had some structural issues that they hadn't anticipated, some rotted roof beams and supports. Plus, there's a significant reduction in the historic tax credits. all of which necessitate an increase in the construction loan. Likewise, the projected rents have increased sufficiently to cover the increased debt service. So the income to expense ratio actually increases from 1.16 to 1.18%.
Any questions for Mike on this project in Buffalo? Again, seeking an increase in the amount of mortgage insurance. I just have one, Mike, which is in both cases, we sort of finance the increase in the insurance because of a rent increase. Does the rent increase ever push against the envelope of affordability?
No. Although in this...
I mean, I guess technically it can't, but I just have to, you sort of, when you see the math, you ask the question, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Very modestly.
Modestly, yes. In other words, the developer can reconfigure maybe unit size and do some things to get bigger rents. And so there's some changes to get away with that rent increase.
In this case, the projected rents have increased from 70% of AMI to 90% of AMI. So it's still very affordable.
Well, in Buffalo it is. In New York, that's a big dollar amount, right?
Yes.
I mean, this is Buffalo. So it depends on your AMI, right?
Like, it's interesting that the interest rate on this loan dropped since 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we overpaid.
Although it's very low, I think the first project you did, we're at about 7.5% now on the new origination for the first one. So this is 5, missed it now what it is, but this is 5 and something.
5.36.
Yeah. And it's a 15-year term?
15, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that may explain it also.
Right, so it's not 30-year. We usually look at 30, right?
The first one was a 30-year.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, that's a factor in it too. Any other questions for Mike about the project in Buffalo?
Now before the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee, a resolution transmitted in connection with the item, assuming the first and seconds previously entered for the committee. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Great, thanks everybody.
Motion is carried, resolution adopted.
Now we've got some items requiring Mortgage Insurance Committee and HFA Finance and Program Committee and HFA members' action. So everybody pay attention. Item 13, A, resolution of the State of New York Mortgage Insurance Committee approving 100% mortgage insurance on a $5,860,000 HFA members permanent first mortgage loan for the Bedford Green House Phase 2, which is up in the Bronx on Jerome Avenue. And then B, second part of this, resolution of the Finance and Program Committee and the members of the New York State Housing Finance Agency recommending authorizing respectively the issuance of an amount not to exceed $38,565,000 in fixed rate tax exempt or taxable bonds and authorizing an HFA subsidy loan, a lot of HFA participation here, in the amount not to exceed $9,735,913 for this project, again called Bedford Greenhouse Phase 2, Bronx County. Mike, how about an update here?
Sure. So this project comprises the development of 116 all low-income units, of which 70 are supportive housing units for formerly homeless families. It's being developed by Project Renewal, which is a well-regarded developer of shelter housing in the Bronx. And this will be the second loan that we've insured for projects developed by Project Renewal. We, back in October of 14, we insured a $10.6 million Chase loan on a shelter in the Bronx. And it has performed satisfactorily for the last 8 years. The insured loan amount is $50,500 per unit, which equals 8% of the project's total development cost of $616,000 per unit. And the project would break even with a 10% pro forma vacancy rate or a 9% increase in operating expenses.
Julie, are you on?
Yes, I'm here. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, Julie, please, anything to add?
Yes, just a few additional notes. Alex asked us to keep it brief, so I will strive to do so. So this project, as Mike mentioned, is being developed by Project Renewal. In addition to their deep experience in providing shelter, they are also very experienced in permanent, supportive, and affordable housing in New York City. This project meets the agency's goals of addressing and ending homelessness and supporting local redevelopment initiatives. This project is actually quite interesting in that it's phase 2 of a 118 unit project that we financed, I believe in 2017 with the same developer. This building will share a common outdoor facility with the project that's already in operations. And it's leveraging the AIRS zoning, which is the incentive for additional senior housing zoning bonus that is available in New York City. So in addition to housing folks with disabilities, there will also be a set aside for seniors here. And it incorporates a ground floor Article 28 clinic, which is a clinic that's available to both residents and community members, regardless of their ability to pay. All units will be affordable up to 60% of AMI, and the project will be seeking NYSERDA Energy Star and LEED certifications. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great.
All right, Julie, thank you. Any questions for Julie or for Mike on this project up on Jerome Avenue?
A quick question for you.
Yeah, please.
The clinic, is it for medical or is it for mental health services? And then also where the project is being done, what supportive offices or agencies are available for the individuals that will be moving into the units?
Yeah, that's a great question. So this clinic will be able to offer both medical and mental health services as in Article 28. And again, this clinic is available to those who qualify who are residents of the building and also community members. In addition, there is an ESHI contract here in which provides on-site supportive services for those with disabilities, and that will also be under contract with Project Renewal. Oh, and
ESHI,
then
just for,
yeah.
I was just going to say, so ESHI is the Empire State Supportive Housing Initiative, which is sort of an overall, is a sort of umbrella term for a series of both rent and support services dollars that are awarded to nonprofits around the state to provide supportive housing services. There's a goal of doing 20,000 units over 15 years, and we're in the second 5-year tranche of that, in the second 5-year tranche of that, right? So a lot of projects that come through the board have ESHI contracts that are sort of towards this overall supportive housing goal, just for some context for our new board members. Sorry, Julie, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Ruthann. And to answer your second question about accessibility of services, so this project is actually located just adjacent to the Jerome Avenue rezoning area. So this is a major thoroughfare in the Bronx. There is accessible to multiple bus routes, to train routes, and multiple community service facilities that are located there. I should also add that Project Renewal has a long history in the Bronx, so they have a lot of agreements. The word is slipping my mind what they call them, but agreements to work with the local hospitals and other service providers in the neighborhood. Referral agreements? Oh, I'm forgetting the technical term.
Yeah, and James, I would add, because I'm somewhat familiar with the area. It's not in the notes, but the site is quite close to Montefiore Medical Center, one of the leading healthcare providers of Southern Westchester and the Bronx, and which has many community clinics and community facilities around the borough. It isn't, Julie, I think while this is Jerome Avenue, I'm going to guess it's just north of the actual Jerome Avenue rezoning that was approved 2 years ago, right? It's not part of the rezoning, is it?
No, it is not part of the rezoning. It is nearby, but it is not within the boundaries.
Right. Yeah, because we've seen just for James and others, reference, we have seen other new projects as a result of that rezoning. Many sites have been created and developers have been flocking to Jerome Avenue, a strip underneath the elevated 4 train, which has been, again, rezoned by the city to facilitate this. But this project, to be clear, is just north of that. James, any other questions? I think both of those questions were super helpful.
Thank you. And just does this facility support individuals, or does it also support families as well?
There will be a handful of family units here. I think 10, but primarily this will be for single-person households.
right,
Great.
thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions about the project for Julie or for Mike? Great. Well, then, Alex, let's do it.
Yep, now before the Sunny Mae Mortgage Insurance Committee, a resolution that was transmitted in connection with the item, assuming the first and second is previously entered for mortgage insurance. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion is carried, the resolution adopted. Now before the HFA members and the HFA Finance and Program Committee, are resolutions to be adopted, transmitted in connection with the item, assuming the first and second is previously entered for HFA and for the Finance Committee. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. The motions are carried, the resolution adopted.
Thanks, everybody. Now we're going to move to items requiring Mortgage Insurance Committee, Sunny Mae Board, HFA Finance and Program Committee, and HFA members' actions. And James, just a side note, if that sounds kind of complicated, what happens, you'll see in our projects, and you've probably seen this in the board book, that a single project could require actions by both committees and boards of our family of housing agencies here. And in the old days, we would meet separately and do, let's say 5 votes for 5 actions for one project. The gentleman to my right, the very clever counsel Alex, a few years ago figured out how to layer these votes. So it looks complicated on paper, but we take this kind of collective vote so we don't have to repeat the process 5 times when we're working on one project. If that doesn't make sense, you're totally in the clear here. But that's my best shot at explaining how this. My best shot at explaining how this works. It's this sort of layered voting, so we don't have to repeat ourselves all morning long. We'd be here till 4 in the afternoon. So let's look at this first one, number 14. Yeah, you say that because you're polite, but it's really pretty confusing to most of us. Item number 14, A and B. A is Resolution State of New York Mortgage Insurance Committee and the State of New York Mortgage Agency recommending and approving 100% mortgage insurance on a $7,650,000 HFA permanent first mortgage loan for the Shepherd Glenmore project in Brooklyn, Kings County. And B, resolutions of the Finance and Program Committee and of the members of the New York City Housing Finance Agency, HFA, recommending and authorizing respectively the issuance of an amount not to exceed $33,715,000 in fixed rate tax exempt or taxable bonds and a subsidy loan in an amount not to exceed $10,468,951. You always say not to exceed. Rarely does the staff come back and say we didn't need all the money, but we're good board members, so we give them an allowance.
Ken, before we go to vote, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think Joyce has a question. It's muted. Joyce, if you can unmute yourself, or
Joyce, let's pause and go back to Joyce. If you can unmute yourself, Joyce. Joyce, are you there?
Or type the question in the chat, and Lillian can.
I'd just like to point out that our next meeting is what, in October?
Yes.
I'm going to Joyce's house around 8 o'clock, and I'm going to bring her here. Joyce?
Does she have bagels?
I'm warning you. I'm bringing you here next time. You're not far away. Seriously, Joyce, if you can get off mute and get in, interrupt me at any time, and we'll be happy to hear your voice and consider your question.
Hi, if I could chime in, excuse me, if perhaps, Joyce, I sent you the call-in information. You could stay on video, but call in for audio. And then we can hear you. If
Or
that's
just,
helpful.
you could, or just be like John and just call in on the audio, just call in on a cell phone. It'll be like a conference
but you
call.
could keep the video up as well.
Yeah.
You could do both.
Thank you, Lil. In any event, we were also talking about the HFA actions required to provide the bond financing for this project, and I got to the part where we were going to consider a subsidy loan in an amount not to exceed $10,468,951 or less, and a federal housing trust fund program loan in an amount not to exceed $3,392,187 for this project, which, again, to refresh your memories, is the Shepherd Glenmore project in Brooklyn. Mike is still here with us to walk us through it, and then I suspect we'll get some assistance.
So this project comprises the development of 123 all low-income units, of which 74 are supportive housing units. It's a heavily subsidized project. There's almost $14 million in HFA supportive housing subordinate debt, and an equal amount, another $14 million of HPD supportive housing subordinate debt, plus there's $21 million in federal low-income housing tax credits. This will be the the project is being developed by Housing Plus Solutions, and this will be the third loan that the MIF has insured for supportive housing solutions with a total exposure of $14 million. The insured loan amount is $62,000 per unit, which equals 12% of the project's total development cost of $502,000 per unit. So this is a fairly efficient project.
You know, Mike, I was surprised it was only 7 stories, given the location. But I guess they just can't afford to build something big.
Julie's going to jump in on this. She might be able to talk about that.
I think
It might be this.
I think if it's only 7 stories and they don't need a crane, it doesn't have to be union construction.
Got it. Okay. No. That's a big. That's on a square foot basis. You're talking about a big savings in construction costs. Interesting.
Maybe the zoning as well, right?
And it could be they need a variance. Julie, Julie, are you there? Let's see if Julie's can add anything details. I'm sure she can to this project.
Yes, I would love to. So as Mike mentioned, this is 123 units of 100% affordable housing and some component of supportive housing. So to answer your question about the zoning, this is located in the East New York rezoning area. And it's actually, because of that, leveraging mandatory inclusionary housing, the MIH bonus, and they're also able to leverage the heirs bonus here. So the constraint to 7 stories is about the limits of zoning because they are taking the bonuses that they can here. So it's exciting in that because there's mandatory inclusionary housing as part of the rezoning, then we have a component of permanently affordable housing here beyond our 40-year regulatory agreement. So we are actually really very excited about this development team. This is a team that is a very experienced not-for-profit supportive housing provider and service provider and developer. And they are working with an emerging MWBE firm called Housing Plus Spatial Equity, they have done 9% with us. This will be their first bond transaction. So far, they are performing really well, so that's exciting for us. This project supports the agency's goals of ending homelessness and supporting local redevelopment initiatives. There will be a combination of supportive units under the ESHI program, and as I mentioned, a set aside for 62 plus because of the heirs zoning bonus. And this project will achieve Energy Star multifamily new construction certification. And I am happy to answer any other questions about this deal.
Thanks,
I have a question.
Hi, Joyce.
Joyce, hi. We can, yes, perfect.
Okay, actually, this links this project to the previous one in the Bronx. I note that it looks like the major energy efficient feature of this project is the rooftop solar array. Is that correct? Or are there other features also?
The energy efficiency component?
Right.
Yes. There will be a rooftop solar array, and give me 1 second here.
Eventually.
Are you asking Joyce to highlight other sustainability features here?
Well, number one, I'm curious about what else this building might have. But the other question, which is actually, I'm sorry, related to the Bronx project, and I'm sorry to go back to it, but I was having trouble with the audio, is simply what is being done in terms of the building envelope, energy efficiency, and the other construction efficiencies.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to start with Shepherd Glenmore to answer your question, and then I'll go back to the other one.
Right.
So this one at Shepherd Glenmore, they, as I mentioned, will strive to meet Energy Star multifamily new construction certification. They will have hyper-efficient central boilers located on the roof. There also includes heating provided through hot water coil, which is pumped through each room's hydronic PTAC unit. And while this is not 100% electric, which we are striving to and will be doing all of our projects starting in the new year, this one is incorporating as many high efficiency electric components that are out there on the market right now.
So does that include appliances in accordance with the new city council resolution?
You know, Joyce, I'm not totally familiar with the city council language, but I do know that they are reaching the NYSERDA multifamily Energy Star certifications, which is an option under our development guidelines at this point. There are design and energy efficiency guidelines.
Okay, interesting. Could you go back to the Bronx project for a moment? I'm sorry to do that to you.
That's all right.
And I apologize, but I was just wanted to know more about the energy efficient features in this building because they seem quite extensive.
Yes.
They're related to construction, and I'm wondering about the applicability. Well, first of all, why don't you just, tell us a little bit more about it and what's being done?
Yes. Just bear with me 1 minute while I pull up.
That's okay. I'm
my
looking
notes
for
here.
it also.
Okay. So this is the Bedford Green deal.
Right.
Right. So this one will reach EPA Energy Star. It will also reach LEED design standards and qualifies for the HFA mandatory green and energy conservation certificate. So I can tell you some of the features: high performance building envelope, energy efficient windows, Energy Star appliances, Energy Star lighting with automatic sensors, low flow toilet fixtures, low VOC building materials. They will have electric HVAC, as I mentioned.
Let me ask you, what is meant by the high performance building envelope? I think that would be interesting for a number of people here to learn about. Can you tell us more about it?
Sure. Building envelope performance is maybe one of the most important parts of energy efficiency because, of course, the tighter our building envelope, the less energy is seeping out. So the building envelope incorporates, first of all, tight building construction, and also, and I'm not a super expert on this, but I know it has a lot to do with the types of insulation that is used and also the facade materials that are used to ensure that there's a tight envelope, and so we're not losing heat, like, for example, in our old buildings where you have to keep the window open because the heat's so high.
Okay, and what is low VOC building materials? What are they? This is really an innovation.
Yeah, these are VOCs, and I can't remember what it stands for exactly, but it's about like gases that emit from the materials.
Right.
So low VOC is using materials that are don't emit these VOC gases.
Right. I'm not saying that this is being used here, but for example, it's the use of limecrete instead of concrete in construction.
That's a great example, and I'm not sure on this one specifically, Joyce, but
right.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, Ruth Ann, because this building is such a great example of energy efficiency and the different ways that it can be approached, if we have some way of encouraging other developments to adopt some of these measures. That's
well, we did
recently. Question.
Yeah, we did recently relaunch our sustainability guidelines to sort of raise the bar for all of our new construction, as you can see it, and they had to make sure the buildings have all electric heating and cooling, and some of these other, in addition to sort of what previously had been Energy Star appliances and stuff that was somewhat common. We're really now getting more into the expensive stuff and the core stuff like heating and cooling. So yeah, so we did come out with revised sustainability guidelines in the last 3 months, I think. They were released maybe about 3 months ago. So happy to, at another time, to go through those with you and sort of talk about them.
Yeah, I would appreciate it because I'm really focused on and concerned about construction, methods of construction.
Okay.
And whether we can do more in that direction.
Okay. Yeah, happy to talk.
Joyce, it's a Joyce. Thanks for good to hear your voice, and thank you
You're probably
for
sorry now.
No, by no means. And I'm still willing to come pick you up at your house next month and bring you here. But I want to point out that this is an ongoing challenge when we look at our projects, and so it's very helpful for you to raise these concerns. And look, the larger issue is we're building buildings in the most part with steel and concrete. The carbon footprint for the global production of steel and concrete, ammonia, fertilizers, and things like that is really that's going to be a hard problem for this agency to solve. So I think you're right to stay on it and advocate for this, because when you talk about construction techniques, it's construction materials that create the biggest carbon footprint for a building like this, as you noted, particularly cement and concrete and steel. So to be continued, and thank you for your advocacy.
You're very welcome.
Just to follow up, I think it should be noted, though, that the design guidelines that the agency is releasing are nation leading in terms of affordable housing. So it's where the agency is going is phenomenal from answering that question. And in fact, it was actually Dina and Rachel were part of a project that just had a panel raising on Long Island for the most potentially carbon negative home in the world, which is being built by the Greater United Way of Long Island, which is a negative, it's basically beyond passive house standards for sealing the building envelope. So I think the agency is take reassurance that I think it's amazing the work that the agency is doing on this stuff.
Good examples. Good. Thank you, James. And thank you, Joyce. But again, Joyce, thanks for your advocacy and to be continued. Let's move on. Alex, we have the items we're looking at for back to Shepherd Glenmore in Brooklyn. And let's see if there are any other questions. I suspect not.
I just have one question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, of course.
I noticed that the maturity on this mortgage is 35 years, as it is on the next one. I think is that a new threshold for us?
We're trying to push. It helps the projects to have a longer, the feds, the GSEs to allow 35 years. So we sort of follow suit and
lowers the payment a bit. I guess helps compensate for increased interest rate.
Lowers the subsidy required. Mike is comfortable with it.
Yes. Thank you.
It's pretty flat out there.
Mike's comfortable with it, yet he looked at you for the answer.
5, so
We've talked about that a lot.
It's not
We're not at 40,
Thank you, Dave, for pointing that out. Anything else?
So,
Alex?
Yep. Now before the Sunny Mae Mortgage Insurance Committee and the Sunny Mae Board for this one are resolutions to be adopted, transmitted in connection with the item, assuming the first and seconds previously entered for the committee and the Sunny Mae Board. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motions are carried. The resolution adopted. Now before HFA and the HFA Finance and Program Committee are resolutions that were transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the first and second previously entered for HFA and the Finance Committee. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motions are carried. The resolution adopted.
Great. So now we're going to go to items requiring Mortgage Insurance Committee, Sunny Mae Board, HFA Finance and Program Committee, HFA members action, and add this one, HTFC member action. It's number 15, resolutions, and A is resolutions of the State of New York Mortgage Insurance Committee and of the State of New York Mortgage Agency recommending and approving 100% mortgage insurance on a $17,875,000 HFA permanent first mortgage loan for Tate Lane Reserve, which is in beautiful Saratoga Springs. B, the resolutions of the Finance and Program Committee and of the members of the New York State Housing Finance Agency, HFA, recommending and authorizing respectively the issuance of an amount not to exceed $41,885,000 in fixed rate tax-exempt or taxable bonds and a subsidy loan in an amount not to exceed $19,190,000 for this project, which we call Tate Lane Reserve. It's very bucolic sounding place. Saratoga Springs, Saratoga County. And C, because here's the part that gets HTFC involved, a resolution of the HTFC or a Housing Trust Fund Corporation authorizing an award of $4 million under the Homes for Working Families program. Mike and Julie, you're up.
So this project comprises the construction of 202 all low-income units and income eligibility is restricted to 30, 50, or 60% of AMI. Of the 202 units, only 78 are one bedroom. So the other 124 units are 2 or 3 bedroom units. The insured loan amount is $88,500 per unit, which equals 23% of the project's total development cost of $385,000 per unit. So this is a really efficient project, and it would break even with a pro forma 12% vacancy rate or a 15% increase in operating expenses.
Great. Julie, want to add to this? Or is it not
Sure.
Julie? Someone else?
So this is Tate Lane in Saratoga. This is a very different kind of new construction project, multifamily, of course, but 202 units and 12 garden-style apartments. As Mike mentioned, this is a family project. There's a lot of family units, and it's in what we call a hub, or a high opportunity area, well-resourced area. So these are areas around the state that have well-performing school districts, and we're really trying our best to get as many family units into those areas as possible. I should also add that this building has a supportive component under the ESHI program. There are 10 units for those who have experienced domestic violence. So that tends to be a family population under our ESHI program. And services for those families will be provided by Wellsprings. The developer is NRP. This is, I believe, the second project we're doing with them. They have one currently under construction in New Rochelle. This project meets our goals of supporting specific housing needs, preventing and ending homelessness. There are a number of energy efficiency measures here that I will highlight. This project will reach the NYSERDA incentive programs of the Energy Star program, and also meets HFA's mandatory green and energy conservation certification. They will be using highly energy efficient HVAC, electric source heat pumps, and foam sheathing insulation, which I think speaks to your building envelope question earlier, Joyce. So there are in addition, there are aluminum windows with a U factor rating of 0.4 or below, Energy Star appliances, LED lighting and sensors, low flow toilets, and green label flooring. So yeah, we're excited about this one. Get some family units in a well-performing school districts. So I'm happy to answer any questions related to this project.
Sounds like an excellent project.
Thank you.
Julie, it's Kenneth. I would just come back to your last point and note that, and thinking frankly of our friend Elaine Gross, this is a great example of a community supporting affordable housing in its midst, a fairly affluent community, Saratoga Springs. I meant it when I said that's a beautiful town. We're all familiar with it. And I'm just curious, what do you think, why was this, I'll be blunt about it, but why was this project, 200 plus units of affordable housing and supportive housing, how was it that the community accepted it? Or, was there any kind of NIMBYism against it or anything? But how'd this happen?
It's a good question, Ken. And even more interesting, I actually have a number of more proposals in my pipeline right now for Saratoga. So we've been looking closely at, what's the market there? What kind of absorption rates are there for affordable housing of this nature? And there's a need, as you can imagine. So, I don't know all the details of what's happening on the ground in Saratoga, but I can say there's been a significant uptick in proposals there. So it seems to me that Saratoga is starting to pay attention to their affordable housing needs.
Well, that's great. I mean, somehow, Ruth Ann, it's an example down the road we should promote, because honestly, with our communities, counties and communities in the state, far too many of them, where this would never go over. basically, on a NIMBY reaction to a project of this size and serving this population. So, you're all to be commended in my view, but also I think we should look at this and see how we can do more of it in more communities. You know what I mean? It's like really, really good example. Any other questions or comments for Julie or Mike on this project in Saratoga Springs?
Got a question for you.
Alex? Oh, sorry. Please, James.
To piggyback on your question, one, where would I be able to find any land use plans, city planning models, or impact studies regarding these projects? And then also, what is considered affordable housing or affordable in that area?
Good question. So this developer went through the local land use approval and site plan approval process. So we can certainly provide any information that was presented to the locality to support their site plan approval. And what was the second part of your question? Oh, what is affordable? This one, in this case, let me just double check my facts here. It looks like we are, let's see, are we doing income averaging? This one is affordable to 60% of AMI. So this is 100% affordable between 30 and 60% of AMI. So to give you a sense of what that rent is, I need my calculator. Give me 1 second. I see it. So for the rents, the local rents, just to give you a sense of what that means, 50% AMI for a 1 bedroom is $900. For a 3 bedroom is $1,200. The 60 AMI units, a 1 bedroom is $1,100. A 3 bedroom is $1,500. And then the 1s and 2s fall between those two numbers. So it looks like we are going, the most expensive we would be at 60% of AMI for a 3 bedroom at $1,500. So this is pretty affordable. I'm sorry, I don't have the market rents in front of me, but I could follow up with information about that.
Awesome, thank you.
Great, thank you, James. From time to time, we need refreshers in the area median income for areas all around the state. They're designated by HUD, right? And they're sometimes kind of, in our view, a little arbitrary in terms of the counties that are clustered together or the greater metropolitan areas. But, you'll have an AMI for this Saratoga Springs area that's probably broader than Saratoga. It's the area median income. And then the affordability, as Julie has explained, is based on income levels of that, of the very fair area AMI and rents, affordable rents. So you're going to see this in different communities across the state, different AMIs and different, when we say affordable, different levels of affordability and different actual rents. Any other questions on this? If not, Alex, let's make it happen.
Ken, just building on your comments about the political context for this project, it might be good to do a case study of this at some point to hold it out as a model for other communities. If you could get the city council to cooperate, and disseminate that information to other similar communities, show that it can happen and it can, in a place like Saratoga Springs,
right,
successfully.
Where it's a big piece of land, undeveloped land that wasn't free.
My first reaction was it's amazing that 200 units of supportive housing, particularly for domestic.
Yeah, if you told me 20,
right,
and say,
that's one thing.
It's a big project.
Right.
There's also some piggybacks, and it was the Times article, but this is like a long history on the challenges of social isolation of the poor, and sort of building upon that. I mean, going back to there's been studies for decades on this. So it's beyond the schools. It's just like larger societal impacts by not isolating poor people.
Right.
Right.
But it looks like what they did here is they rezoned the area in the downtown Saratoga, and now it's considered an urban neighborhood, primarily targeting residential development and small scale commercial use.
Right.
So they're still, they're still within a particular part of the community, not spread out, but at least they're there.
Mm-hmm. Tate Lane. All right. That'll be good ribbon cutting when you go to that.
Mm-hmm. I'll take it.
Okay.
Great.
Now before the Sunny Mae Mortgage Insurance Committee and the Sunny Mae Board are resolutions that were Are we in the right? Yes.
Yeah.
That were transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the first and seconds previously entered for the committee and the board. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion is carried. The resolution adopted. Now before the HFA members and the HFA Finance Committee are resolutions transmitted in connection with the item, assuming the first and second for HFA and Finance. Please say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. The resolution adopted. And then finally, before the HTFC members is the resolution for the $4 million Homes for Working Families Award, assuming the first and seconds for HTFC. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 And the motion is carried, and that resolution is adopted.
All right. Now, take note, members of the Sunny May Board. There's no further business for the Sunny May Board this morning, so Alex is going to ask for motions and seconds to adjourn the Sunny May meetings.
So assuming the first and seconds previously entered for the Sunny May Mortgage Insurance Committee and the Sunny May Board, all in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
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 The motion is carried. The resolution adopted. Our next Sunny May Board meeting is scheduled for Thursday, October 13th at 9 a.m.
Maybe while the Sunny May folks are still here, I would ask, we had for the last bit of time been starting at 8:30. We started at 9 this week for those of us that have children who started school this week, and a little extra time to get people out the door and where they need to go. But I guess question, if we're assuming we're in person next month also, about a 9 o'clock versus an 8:30 start time?
9's good for me.
And I think we heard from Jesse this past week that 9 he could only do 9 going forward if we had it. So
Okay. All right. Well, we'll stay tuned on that. We can do a broader.
It's good for the president. You still got the kids.
Yeah, I do. Okay. If it works for you, it works for me. Great. I'll take it.
All right. 9 it is.
Thanks.
To all of our Sunny May Board members, thank you for participating today. James, great to have you on board. And James.
See you next month.
And see you next month. Everybody on the 13th. Great. All right, but everybody else, don't stick around. The rest of you have to hang out. We've got some more work to do. We're going to go to number 16. These are. All right, John. See you soon. Take care. We've got items for HFA Finance and Program. Bye-bye. Finance and Program Committee and HFA members' action. So this is all in the HFA family, starting with number 16, resolutions of HFA Finance and Program Committee, HFA, and of HFA itself, recommending and authorizing issuance tax exempt bonds and not exceed $28,450,000, maximum fixed rate and/or variable rate, tax exempt taxable bonds, and in an estimated $12,638,860 in HFA subsidy funds for Stuyvesant Apartments, which is in Kingston, up in Ulster County.
and that should be an amount not to exceed. That was a mistake. The estimated.
Well, I think everybody.
We got to keep them in check.
Exactly. And so who is
Russell? I think.
Oh, is Russell coming on to this one? We got to get Russell. Where's Russell?
Can you hear me?
We can, loud and clear, my friend. How are you?
Great. Good. I'm in my office. I have my phone on because I don't have a microphone on my computer. So I'm doing this. It seems to work. So
That's all right. You're coming in loud and clear.
Awesome. All right. I will get started. Stuyvesant Apartments, item 16. These are 2-story townhouses, 7 of them. They're situated around a courtyard with residential parking, some open green space. The property is a little over 9 acres in total. It was originally built in the 1970s. It's certainly of its time if you see it. Originally built as HUD Section 236 housing, owned by the Stuyvesant Charter Incorporated. Now they are a single-purpose affiliate of the Kingston Housing Authority. So it's sort of pseudo-public housing. It's owned by a public housing authority and as such regulated by HUD, though it has a mix of subsidized housing in the form of both project-based Section 8 and tenant-based assistance. In total, there's 120 units for families, most of who are at or below 60% of the area median income for the Kingston area. It's located just about 5 minutes north of the Kingston Roundout, if anyone's familiar with that, just up the hill from there, and has remained a fixture of affordable housing for low-income families since it was finished in 1974. The Kingston Housing Authority took ownership of the property in 1999 and is the current owner and the manager. They will remain so with this refinancing and rehabilitation through a new 99-year ground lease with a new tax credit partnership that will serve as the beneficial owners. That partnership will be between the Kingston Housing Authority's new affiliate for the project, and the developer Montel Limited. Montel is based out of Westchester. Their affiliated general contractor, Mountco, will also serve as the project's coordinator for the rehabilitation work. Mountco and Montel have both successfully rehabilitated affordable housing projects with HFA financing in the past. They're good partners in this regard. The property itself is 50 years old and is in need of rehabilitation for many of its existing systems and conditions, as well as to provide energy upgrades to help modernize the property. It is already fully electric, and so there will be upgrades to make the project more efficient and up to the agency's current standards for existing buildings. Another big ticket item are the shingled roofs that are in need of replacement. There will be also substantial upgrades to the interior residential units and a lot of site work around the property. The project has a lot of local support from the City of Kingston. They've agreed to a 32-year real estate tax abatement in the form of a pilot agreement. The rehabilitation work is expected to take about 20 months. No tenants are expected to need to be relocated, though there may be some need for some temporary relocation during the in-unit work on the apartment. Overall, at about $197,000 per unit, this will be a substantial rehabilitation project, evidenced by an integrated project needs assessment that is reviewed. Costs are typical for this type of work. The preservation of this affordable housing will be further memorialized with a 40-year HFA regulatory agreement. Thank you.
Definitely in need of renovation.
I was going to say, I didn't look at it. Yeah, Ruth Ann is looking. We're looking at the pictures of this.
Pictures are a little grim.
Yeah, sometimes you sort of say, let's for $500 no. How much is it cost per unit?
It's very vintage.
It's vintage. Yeah.
Thank you, Russell. It's a great one.
$410,000 per unit, and you sort of say, what if we just did a tear down and built from? I guess that wasn't
hard when it's occupied.
Hard when it's occupied.
That's the next project.
Okay.
Thank you, Russell.
Thank you, Russell. A little late to suggest a tear down. Any other questions for Russell on this, or for Mike, or really just Russell? Mike's not on this one.
What is the mortgage insurance on this?
No, it's
FHA.
Good question.
Yeah, we're not doing it. SONYMA is not doing it, right?
Yep, it's a risk share, right, Russell?
Right. That's right. Yeah, that's why SONYMA is no longer involved in the approval process for this, because we're going through the FHA HUD risk share program, by which FHA insures the loan. HFA ponies up 10% of the top losses.
Okay.
That's great for diversification and risk diversification for the agency. It's exciting to see that they're using this product.
Yep.
Good.
Thank you.
Good.
We agree.
Great.
Give him a good project.
Any questions for Russell on this? Thank you, Ruth Ann, for reminding me to look at the pictures. Alex?
Now before the HFA members and the HFA Finance and Program Committee, resolutions to be adopted, transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the first and seconds previously entered for HFA and the Finance Committee, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motions are carried. The resolution adopted.
Terrific. So next we've got items for HFA Finance Committee, HFA, and HTFC action. 17, resolutions of HFA Finance and Program Committee and the HFA members recommending and authorizing the financing approval of $35,090,000 maximum fixed rate or variable rate tax exempt or taxable bonds, an estimated $15,559,276 in HFA subsidy funds for Taylor 1 apartments in Troy, Rensselaer County. And Part B of this, number 17, resolution of the Housing Trust Fund Corporation authorizing an award of $4 million under the Homes for Working Families program, as we did a couple projects ago. We're going to go back to Russell.
A little background on this project. The Troy Housing Authority, they were established in 1944, not long after the passage of the New York State Public Housing Law of 1939, provided for the creation of public housing authorities to address the need for clean, safe, and affordable housing, a need which ballooned post-World War II. Soon thereafter, the Troy Housing Authority completed probably its most ambitious public housing project, the John P. Taylor Apartments, dedicated, incidentally, to Mr. Taylor, who served as a district attorney for Rensselaer County 1914 to 1920, and was posthumously honored with this dedication with Taylor Apartments, which was completed in 1954. There are 4 Taylor apartment projects in the downtown Troy area by the riverfront, 4 high-rise 9-story buildings. Taylor 3 and Taylor 4 are currently in operation, though there are near future plans to redevelop these 2 buildings. What we're talking about today here is Taylor 1 and Taylor 2, also 9-story high-rises. They've been vacant since 2005. They've been deemed distressed, blighted, and obsolete, and has been the city's desire to redesign these for quite some time. So an opportunity presented itself over the past couple of years. The city unveiled an ambitious plan to redevelop its downtown waterfront area. This is a plan that has been helped with the influx of federal funding, part of it through the Downtown Revitalization Initiative, which will help to redesign infrastructure and downtown waterfront area into a mixed-use residential and commercial hub. The continued presence of affordable housing, 100% affordable housing in the center of this redesign is certainly welcomed in the downtown waterfront area. Imagine that in Manhattan. The Troy Housing Authority is partnering with Penrose, a developer who has successfully partnered with other housing authorities and received HFA financing, most recently for Yates Village Phase 1 and 2 in Schenectady, and also one of the most comprehensive public housing renovations we've ever undertaken, the NYCHA Bundle 3 project in Brooklyn, which is now nearing completion, having begun in 2019, 95 NYCHA buildings and over 1,300 units. So Penrose has a lot of familiarity with this type of development, and they're good partners with the public housing authorities in this regard. So this project today, Taylor 1 Apartments, it'll involve the demolition of the obsolete Taylor 1 and Taylor 2 buildings, and there'll be 1 new building, pretty much replacing all of the units, 141 total units, with 1 new 7-story building. All units will be project-based, Section 8, 100% affordable to residents at or below 50% of the area median income for the Troy area. The building will include amenities for tenants such as a gym, community room, storage space, free Wi-Fi, outdoor bicycle storage, outdoor patio. The units will include in-washer units and dryers. A commercial space on the ground floor is expected to be leased to a community services provider upon completion of the building. And the building will be designed to meet criteria of not 1, not 2, but 3 energy efficiency standards for newly constructed buildings. It's not fully electric. The project has been in the agency's pipeline for a couple of years. It will be designed for future upgrades as they become feasible and available. But it's generally it's meeting all of our standard new construction.
$100,000 less per unit for new construction.
The new Taylor 1 Apartments will continue to be owned and co-managed by the Troy Housing Authority. They will ground lease to the new tax credit partnership, 75 years. The city's downtown revitalization support will include $1.6 million into the project. The city is also granting a real estate tax abatement through a 30-year pilot. And finally, HFA will execute a regulatory agreement which will further enforce the project's continued affordability. Thank you. Questions?
Still not. Still expected to be left. Thanks, Russell. I don't know. Anybody have any questions for Russell on this project in Troy? We like to see investments in beautiful downtown Troy, great historic city where we've done actually a fair amount of projects in the last few years.
Yeah, and we've done a great amount of work on the public housing authorities across the state too, really sort of making investments in what are very old but very important assets for communities all over. So this
many
is
of them right there on the waterfront, right in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, Alex will remind you, the shirt collar capital of the world back in the 19th century, where they invented the shirt collar and made it with abandon until people decided the shirt collar could come attached to your shirt, and that put Troy out of business. Okay.
Now before the HFA members and the HFA Finance and Program Committee, resolutions transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the first and seconds previously entered for HFA and its Finance Committee, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now before the HTFC members, a resolution to be adopted in connection with the item. Assuming the first and seconds previously entered for HTFC, all in favor say aye.
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 Motion is carried. The resolution adopted.
$4 million just like that. You know, a little grant there. Yep. Homes for bingo bango. Next item is an HFA action item, and it's good to see something like this again, a big investment in the refurbishing of a mobile home community up in the North Country. where we've seen projects like this over the last few years. It's 18, resolutions authorizing an increase to infrastructure improvement grant in the amount of $850,000, which seems modest for what they're going to do, for the New Beginnings Mobile Home Park in Beekmantown up in Clinton County. Alex will remind you, Beekmantown is a little hamlet of, they call it a town of about 5,000 people between, let me get this right, it's south of Shazy. It's in between Plattsburgh and Shazy on Route 22. Wow. Small community where this is probably a pretty important place, this mobile home park.
I'm familiar with Jay-Z, but not Shazy.
Shazy. The folks up here are, probably 45 minutes from the Canadian border.
Wow.
It's cold up there, Alex.
Canucks.
Yeah.
Borderline.
Actually, just due east from Dannemora, where most of these good people try to stay out of, stay out of trouble. You don't go to Dannemora.
Maybe work at.
Yeah, or they work at Dannemora. True. It's all in Clinton County where there's a lot going on. Burke Blackman, he's going to tell us more about it.
I hope Burke.
Maybe.
Thank you very much. So yes, this is a request to increase an infrastructure improvement grant, the funding for which comes from Enterprise Community Park in an amount not to exceed $850,000. Beginnings Mobile Home Park in the location that Ken mentioned. This is a community of 54 manufactured home sites. The park became a resident cooperative in 2018 with a manufactured home cooperative fund loan from HFA, and the financing package at that time also included funding for identified infrastructure needs, the sources for which were the original enterprise grant, a CDBG grant administered by the county locally, plus a loan from a private lender. Unfortunately, due to some cash flow issues experienced by the community, which were later exacerbated by the pandemic, the private loan never closed and is no longer available as a source. So this requested $850,000 increase to the enterprise funded award would serve as a replacement and allow the community to complete the remaining scope, but also to undertake an additional upgrade to the park's septic system that's expected to lower operating and costs, and to purchase and site one new park-owned rental home that will help increase revenue a little bit. And these investments together will help for the community's long-term financial sustainability. Enterprise, on their end, has already approved the additional funds, so we're just seeking board approval to proceed with the amendment, and that's happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Thank you, Burke. Again, good project. We've seen a number of these, and they're really important to do. Questions for Burke on this, the increase in the grant to New Beginnings? Okay, Alex.
Now, before the HFA members is a resolution to be adopted, transmitted in connection with the item, assuming the first and second is previously entered for HFA. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion is carried. The resolution adopted.
Thank you, Alex. Now we're going to move to, and thank you, Burke, for that. We're going to move to an HFA, HTFC action item sent to the members by separate cover, and this involves the appointment of a new senior vice president for statewide asset management, and I think Ruthann is going to walk us through it.
Yes, I will be brief, but as some of you may recall, Dan Murphy, who was our longtime director of statewide asset management, retired, and we did a search, and I'm extremely pleased to recommend for your consideration the appointment of Jason Pearson as the agency's senior vice president for statewide asset management, which lives within the Office of Housing Preservation. You have Jason's resume in your board book, but you'll be sort of familiar to him, I think. He currently serves as the Vice President of Programs and Operations within the Office of Finance and Development, where he supervises several departments, including our loan servicing division, our tax credit division, and our management and reporting units, and really supervises and sort of is a sort of secret sort of weapon behind everything that really goes on in the Office of Finance and Development, in addition to managing monthly construction requisitions and conversions and working closely with the tax credit unit. So we are really delighted to be able to promote someone within the agency to this role. I would say both personally and professionally, Jason is incredibly intelligent. He is incredibly thoughtful, and he is really a joy to work with. So I couldn't be happier to have him lead our statewide asset management division going forward. Do I have to say something formal, Alex? Like, I recommend his appointment without reservation.
Thank you, Ruth Ann. Alex?
Now before the HFA and HTFC members is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the first and seconds previously entered for HFA and HTFC, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motions are carried. The resolution adopted.
Good.
Jason is in the room.
And where's
behind us.
Jason?
Happily.
Congratulations, Jason, on your promotion. Very good. Glad to have you. Glad this all worked out. Ruth Ann, thank you for walking us through it, and big congratulations to all of you, especially Jason. Now we're going to move to an AHC consent item, and it's a resolution number 19 in our agenda. It's a resolution authorizing award of grant funds. The material from Dominic is in the board book, a great review of the projects for which he's seeking funding. Alex, let's do it.
I suspect Dominic is waiting for the next item, but for now before AHC is a resolution transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and seconds previously entered for AHC, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion is carried. The resolution adopted.
Great. Thank you, Joyce. Thanks, everybody. So now we're going to get to number 20, information item on our AHC Buffalo emergency grants, and Dominic's going to walk us through this one. Good morning, Dominic.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you. As you may recall, at the July meeting, we got authorization to approve awards between board meetings in the amount not to exceed $10 million for the Eastside Buffalo Emergency Home Improvement Program. We selected 5 groups, and we've made awards totaling $9,500,000 to the following groups: Broadway Fillmore NHS. We gave them $3 million. Neighborhood Works Community Partners received $3 million. Heart of the City Neighborhoods, Inc. received $1.4 million. Community Action Organization of Western New York received $700,000, and Push Buffalo received $1.4 million, all for the work for emergency home repair on the east side of Buffalo. Dina Levy and myself have been meeting with the groups every Friday via conference call to ensure this program got off the ground. And it has. The groups have met every Tuesday at the library. The demand for this product is overwhelming. The good news is that the people who most need these dollars are coming out. We've heard back from most of our groups saying that some of the people who have applied have not been reached before with their normal programs. So the publicity, the governor's announcement, and things like that has definitely met the goal thus far. We anticipate that the remaining $500,000 to be awarded over the next several months or so as the program unfolds and we see how the funds are being dispersed.
Dominic, that's terrific. Glad it's going well, and obviously even the flexibility to act between board meetings by having the allocation, and very important. I mean, I do have to pause and say, this community and these families, it's needed this help long before the horrific incident that was the reason for this. It's it's interesting. You go in to help, and then you get to see the community up close, and you say, what were we doing before? Like why
Yeah.
And look what brings it. A horrific act. Brings our attention to this, and we make this.
Yeah, I think it's shining a spotlight on the area in general, and it's bringing a lot of resources up. Aside from the AHC, I think contractors are coming in throughout the state. And from a horrific incident, maybe some good will come out of it.
Right. No, thank you. That's what I was trying to say, shining a spotlight, right, and bringing it to the fore. And so thanks for your good work. Any questions from members or directors for Dominic on this special initiative in East Buffalo? Good luck working with those 6 or 7 community partner agencies, Dominic. They sound like, there's like you said, a lot of pent-up demand for support.
Yeah, and they're great groups. The folks on the ground don't get enough credit. I just want to give a shout out to Deirdre Trickham, my project manager, who's shown incredible flexibility to be able to get this all through the board and through all the steps so that the money can hit the ground and to the people who need it. We appreciate it.
I would echo that to Dom and his whole team who, we basically said, the governor's office called, we have to do this thing, we have to do it now. It's like what you do, but different. And can we just do it really quickly? And can you make it work and jump on 10 million phone calls? And Dom and his team stepped up very quickly. And this has been a great program and a great effort, I think. So thanks, Dom.
And don't worry, Chaim will be right behind you with an audit. So
bring it.
Let me check as we move into HTFC. Joyce and B, you're going to be able to stay with us for the HTFC meeting, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Joyce is amazing.
I do not work on this initiative with PUSH, but my organization, I just want to make it aware that like we do work with PUSH, but like I'm not involved in this initiative at all. So
thank you. Great. Thanks, James. Alex, let's, well, actually, this was an information item, so we don't have to take any action.
We're on to the housing.
Dominic, thanks for that update. Now we're going to do items considered by the Housing Trust Fund Corporation, and they're in a special HTFC board book, which was sent by Lil separately. Item number 1. First item on the agenda this morning, transcript of the Board Governance Audit Committee meetings held on July 14th. The transcript shall be deemed approved, absent corrections from members and directors. And 2, a resolution authorizing an award under the Legacy Cities Access Program. And we're going to go back to Burke, who will walk us through that, please.
Hello again, everyone. So this is the Legacy City Homeownership Project in the Capital Region that the Commissioner mentioned at the beginning of the call. It's a request for just under $2.7 million in funding for a project in Amsterdam to renovate 9 homes into first-time homeownership opportunities at 80% AMI and below. These are 1, 2, and 3 family homes, and so including some accessory rental units that will be produced as part of the project. It will produce a total of 18 housing units. The project comes from the Capital Region Land Bank, and the developer is AIK Property Group, a BIPOC-owned entity that has completed some tax foreclosure rehabs in nearby Schenectady. Better Community Neighborhoods will be assisting with homeownership counseling. The total development cost is $4.1 million, and the Legacy City subsidy averages just under $150,000 per unit, which is within program limits. The project financing includes a construction loan from CPC, which will be repaid from sales proceeds. And the sales prices for these homes will range from about $136,000 to just $200,000, with average affordability below 60%. And when taking into account potential rental income from some of the accessory units, some homes will reach affordability as deep as 38% AMI. So we're excited about this project, and with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Burke, thanks very much. Any questions for Burke?
This is great.
All right, Alex.
Sarah Neitzel, who handles HTFC, is recusing herself from this project, so I'm just going to do the honors here. Now before the HTFC members is a resolution transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion is carried. Motion is carried. The resolution adopted.
Our next HTFC item is a resolution. It's number 3, actually. It's a resolution authorizing multifamily awards, and I think Brett will present it.
Good morning. Am I coming through for well?
Yeah, we can hear you and see you, Brett.
Very good. Thank you. So as the Commissioner mentioned in her comments, we did release the RFP earlier this year and made awards in July of 16 projects, 864 units in total, of which we're taking a subset of that to the board today for approval of the subsidy made under those conditional awards. These 6 projects are in various regions of the state, and I'll kind of highlight each one as we go through. Feel free to stop me with any questions. The first is in the village of Corinth, again in Saratoga County, as we've been discussing. This is a 60-unit integrated supportive housing project being developed by RISE Housing and Support Services, known as the Riverview Apartments in Corinth. The second is a 76-unit senior project located in the village of Fairport in Monroe County, being developed by Pathstone Housing Action Corporation, known as Baird Road Senior Apartments. The third is a 33-unit housing opportunity project in the county of Westchester in the village of Croton-on-Hudson, known as 4151 Maple Ave. It's being developed by Regan Development Corporation. The fourth is a 43-unit workforce opportunity project with an artist preference, known as Art Space Utica Loft, and obviously located in Utica, to be developed by Art Space Project Incorporated. Next is a project known as Concern Logan. It's a 66-unit integrated supportive housing project to be constructed by, developed rather by Concern for Independent Living in the borough of Brooklyn. And last is a 70-unit community renewal and revitalization project in collaboration with a downtown revitalization initiative project known as Saranac Loft, and is located in Village of Saranac Lake in Franklin County, to be developed by Parkview Development and Construction. It's a high-level overview. If folks have any questions about any of those?
I don't, Brett, but that was very helpful, and the chart that's in the board materials is helpful as well. Any questions for Brett on these grants?
It was just note that I am right now sitting in Broughton-on-Hudson.
You're making, Joyce is performing a site visit. Very good. Alex, will you channel Sarah?
Sarah's going to take.
Oh, Sarah's going to do it. Okay.
So now before the HTFC members is the resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Good. Thank you, everybody. Number 4 is a resolution authorizing CDBG Economic Development and Micro Enterprise Program Awards. And we're going to turn to Crystal for this, I believe.
Morning.
Good morning.
Have some of my standard program awards this month as well. So HCR makes $10 million in CDBG funds available on an open round basis for economic development activity. We award funds throughout the year to units of local government to assist businesses that propose the creation or retention of jobs for low to moderate income individuals. This month, the Office of Community Renewal is recommending awards totaling $1.9 million in CDBG economic development funding for 4 applicants. 3 awards provide assistance to individual businesses, and the 4th will allow Orleans County to establish a local microenterprise program. Full details on these awards are provided in the board memo, and I'm happy to answer any questions the members may have.
Thank you very much. Crystal, any questions about these awards? Sarah, can you help us out?
Now before the HTFC members is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Thank you, Sarah. Item 5 is a resolution authorizing CDBG CARES Act and Housing Assistance Program awards. And we'll go back to Crystal for an explanation of this.
Thank you. HCR is administering $127 million in community development block grant funding made available through the CARES Act. These resources were provided to help communities across the state prevent, prepare for, and respond to COVID-19. This month, OCR is requesting board approval for awards totaling $10.3 million for 12 new applicants and a small award increase for a prior CARES award. The Office of Community Renewal is also requesting approval to award just over $4.8 million in regular CDBG funds for a large senior housing rehab project in Seneca County. Full details are described in the memo. I'm happy to answer any questions from the board.
I would just note that it is great, sort of when you read through these, it's farm worker housing, transitional housing, first responders, child care development center. You know, there's really a lot of sort of critical and important work going on here, even though it kind of gets approved in kind of a lump sum when you look at them individually. There's a lot of great stuff in here, so thank you, Crystal.
You know, just because Alex is paying attention to this, you know, that farm worker housing, do you notice where that is happening, Alex?
I did not know.
In the town of Shazy.
Shazy.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
Which is just north of
Shazy.
No.
Shazy, there it is.
Of our mobile home project we did it half an hour ago. The town of Shazy, farm worker housing in Clinton County. So just connecting the dots here, my friends. Lots of investments in Clinton County. Thank you, Crystal. Any other questions, observations? If not, let's go to Sarah.
Now before the HTFC members is the resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Thank you. We've got one more from, actually a couple more. Item 5, resolution authorizing CDBG CARES Act and Housing Assistance Program Awards. These are different, and Crystal will walk us through these as well. Thanks, Crystal.
I think that's the one we just did, so we're moving to 6.
Oh, well, we don't need to do that twice. Let's do 6. A resolution authorizing an amendment to New York State Home Program Small Rental Development Initiative Award. And again, we turn to Crystal.
The Office of Community Renewal is requesting approval to amend the awardee name of a prior home program Small Rental Development Initiative, or SRDI award. This is purely an administrative adjustment to accommodate the legal name of the ownership entity. The award and project remain unchanged. The name will change from Better Community Neighborhoods, Inc. to BCNI Holding Company 1, LLC. Happy to answer any questions from the board.
I think we can I think we can deal with this one, Alex, yeah? Sarah, could you help us out?
For the HTFC members is the resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Great. Thank you, Crystal, for your presentations this morning. Let's go to number 7, a resolution authorizing a Section 8 project-based voucher or voucher awards from Dan Byer.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
You may remember that over the summer, we issued and approved a number of project-based vouchers awards for what we call Track 2 projects, or existing projects that are already in the asset management portfolio. This last round of awards are projects that are what we refer to as Track 1, or projects that are simultaneously seeking financing either from the 4% or 9% side of the multifamily house. So we're leveraging project-based vouchers with development financing to help finance these projects and keep units affordable. We've got 5 projects being presented across the state for 186 project-based vouchers for the spring 2022 round, which is by far, combined with all 3 rounds of awards, by far the largest allocation of project-based vouchers we've ever made. So very happy about this, that we're utilizing these federal resources.
That's fantastic. Dan, thank you. Any questions for Dan? Sarah, back to you.
Now before the HTFC members is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Carried and the resolution adopted.
I would just note that it's nice to see a former convent being adapted into senior housing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good. Let's go to 8, which is a resolution authorizing entry into a contract with the Community Preservation Corporation to administer the Climate Friendly Homes Fund. Sounds like something Joyce herself could have developed. Samantha Pierce is going to tell us about this.
Hi, good afternoon or good morning, everyone. Thank you. I'll be succinct here. As the commissioner mentioned in her opening remarks, the Climate Friendly Home Fund will provide up to $250 million over the next 5 years as part of the housing plan that was approved in the governor's budget. The intent here is to work to decarbonize 10,000 units within that time period and contribute towards the governor's 2 million climate friendly homes fund of goal by 2030. In summer, HTFC released a NOFA seeking qualified CDFI or CDFIs to deploy and complete the full development of the program. After reviewing the response and holding a scoring committee meeting, we found the Community Preservation Corporation application to be eligible and qualified for operating and running the Climate Friendly Homes program. Their application includes a enterprise community partners list and inclusive property capital, along with various community partners and engineering firms. CPC will remain the primary contact and the contract entity for HTFC. The requested resolution before the board today is to approve the award of the Climate Friendly Homes Fund up to $250 million to CPC over a 5-year contract period, and to allow the program to submit informational items on the program's progress on a quarterly basis hereafter.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Samantha. Any questions for Samantha on this proposal to enter into a contract with CPC? Very good.
I'm recusing myself.
Okay.
Kenneth? I would simply point
Yes.
out that Judy McEwen has a long time interest in climate-friendly construction.
Very good. That's right. And she's not in the meeting today.
She's on vacation.
Because, yeah, you may have noticed, Joyce, Sadie's not in the meeting today. She has a conflict. She's away. But I think you're absolutely right. She's a strong advocate, as are you, for climate-friendly home construction. Alex, or sorry, Sarah.
So here, I just want to step
Be
in,
sure
Sarah,
to
for a
tell her
second.
I paid her a compliment.
We'll make sure it's reflected in the minutes.
We were looking at the HTFC book, and there's just a mistake in the list of, James, by virtue of being on the HFA board, is a member automatically of HTFC. He wasn't listed there, so James actually didn't realize that we were asking him to participate here. So apologies for that, and you are going to be recusing
I'm
yourself
recusing myself on this one.
on this one, so we're still fine. So we have Chairman Adams, Ruth Ann, 2, we have Chris, 3, Joyce, 4, Jesse, 5, and B, 6. We're good.
All right. I think we can go to Sarah now to take the vote.
Now before the HTFC members is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Number 9, a resolution authorizing entry into contracts with Home Headquarters, Inc. and the Community Development Corporation of Long Island to administer the Climate Change Mitigation and Adaptation Retrofit Program. And Rachel Weeder will present this item. Good morning, Rachel.
Hi, good morning. Thank you. Yes, we're calling this project Resilient Retrofits, and we're requesting authorization to award $10 million to a CDFI organization, Home Headquarters, who was selected through a competitive RFP process, and they are partnering with the Community Development Corporation of Long Island. They will be using these funds to administer a loan program to single-family homeowners whose properties are in the floodplain and who could benefit from making resiliency improvements to those homes, as well as, when financially feasible, making improvements for energy efficiency and electrification. I'm happy to take any questions.
No, that's helpful, Rachel. It looks like $10 million in revolving loan funds to assist up to 180 homes. So there you go. Any questions? Thank you, Rachel. How about Sarah?
Now before the HTFC members is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Number 10, a resolution approving a seeker documentation and classification of Dromore Road apartments. And as usual, Heather Spitzberg will help us through this seeker proposal.
Morning, everyone. Thank you very much. This morning I have a presentation to request an classification of a project as an unlisted action and the issuance of a negative declaration for that project. The project is called Dromore Road Apartments. It is on Dromore Road in the town of Greenberg, which is adjacent to Central Park Avenue. It's for new construction of a 4-story building for families with 45 units on a 2-acre site. I'm happy to take any questions. Otherwise, at this time, I recommend that the project be classified as an unlisted action and a negative declaration be made.
Great. Sounds good to us. I give a moment to Joyce, who's often interested in seeker actions.
Sorry, Kenneth, I just have a question because it says in the environmental assessment form that this project is located in Scarsdale.
Right, so the applicant fills out that part of the form, and that is the zip code address. It has the Scarsdale zip code, but is actually located in the town of Greenberg.
I was just wondering if Scarsdale suddenly was becoming more liberal.
Yeah, I actually had looked this one up on the map when I saw Scarsdale for the same reason, and then I was like, oh, it's one of those, because there's a lot of towns around Scarsdale that have the Scarsdale zip code but aren't Scarsdale, so that's one of these areas. The area though is actually a lovely site. It is across the street from the town of Greenberg's Nature Center. And while Central Park Avenue is quite busy, this is really set back from it, and it is a lovely location. So.
All right, good, thank you. Sarah, can you help us out with this?
Now before the HTFC members is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right,
The
good,
motion is
thank
carried.
you.
Resolution adopted.
Thank you, Heather. Thanks, Sarah. 11, resolution authorizing transfer of residual preservation initiative program funds into the Preventable Troubled Asset Program. And Marilyn Fleischman will present this, I think.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay. I am presenting a request, as mentioned, to transfer the residual funds in the Preservation Initiative Program over to the Preventative Troubled Asset Program. Approximately 12 years ago, the Housing Trust Fund board members approved a commitment of $25 million to preserve, rehabilitate, and upgrade the Housing Trust Fund's existing affordable housing stock that was under the Preservation Initiative Program. Those funds were leveraged with tax credits and weatherization, so we were able to create a new preservation program called the Preventative Troubled Asset Program. In 2016, we were able to transfer 7.3 million of the PIP funds into the PTAP account. The PIP program has pretty much drawn to a close, and we still have close to a hair under $1.3 million. There is still a large need, as we're all aware, to preserve our existing housing stock. So at this time, we're requesting to take the remaining $1,299,799 that was allocated to the PIP and transfer it over to the PTAP program. Be happy to answer any questions.
No, that sounds good to us. Any questions by anybody?
That's great.
Great. Sarah?
Now before the HTFC members is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
All right, we've got a couple more items with Marilyn. 12, resolution authorizing the Housing Trust Fund Corporation to release the New Berlin Housing Preservation Company, Inc.'s existing debt with the Housing Trust Fund Corporation and release the New Berlin Housing Preservation Company, Inc. from its regulatory agreement with the Housing Trust Fund Corporation. And again, back to Marilyn for an explanation of this one.
Okay, thank you. Red Mill Apartments is located in New Berlin in Shenango County. It was mismanaged by a weak nonprofit with a non-existent and inactive board of directors. Minimal housing quality standards were maintained, but the project has required major rehabilitation and has been assisted by the Housing Trust Fund Board numerous times in the past. I've had to go before the board and request funding to pay delinquent taxes, to forestall foreclosure actions. We've paid for repairs that were threatening the health and safety, and we've had to bring in third-party managing agent. It is a very rural area. It is about 55 minutes away from, or 55 miles away from Binghamton. We've worked very closely with our colleagues in finance and development and with OCR, and our colleagues in OCR provided technical assistance to opportunities for Shenango and Broome, and were able to assist them in making a successful application for CDBG CARES funds to renovate Red Mill, with ownership being transferred to opportunities for Shenango and Broome. The award was made to Shenango County for $5,177,161 in New York State CDBG CARES Act funds for the renovation. Given the property's perilous history, lack of multifamily affordable housing in the area, extending the affordability of the property hinges on the approval of the current proposed sponsor's request for the existing debt to be extinguished. I would like to note that we did meet the 30-year period of affordability, and the regulatory agreement and the note did actually mature a few months ago. So at this point in time, we are requesting that the Housing Trust Fund regulatory agreement and the mortgage that was made with New Berlin Housing and Preservation Company be forgiven in order to move forward and preserve this much needed housing. I would also like to say that there are original tenants from the project that remain in residence. It is the only affordable housing project in the area. So I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Okay, you don't see this every day.
No, this is unusual. Ooh, go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Joyce.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I have a question about the extinguishing the regulatory agreement and how you preserve the affordability aspect of the project without it.
Right, because it's being extended through the CDBG CARES Act funding. They're going to use that money to renovate all 18 units, and it will be entered into a new regulatory period under that funding award.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's helpful. Good question, Joyce. Any other questions on this project for Mary Ann? It's kind of complicated. Or don't see this often.
Yeah.
All right, Sarah, let's make it happen. Mary Ann's worked hard on this, you can tell. This project's been around for a long time.
Now before the HTFC members is the resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board. All in favor, please say aye.
What's going on? Aye.
It is carried and the resolution adopted.
Well, like I said, we never see these, so let's do another one. Number 13, resolution authorizing the Housing Trust Fund Corporation to release St. Anne's Apartments LP's existing debt with the Housing Trust Fund Corporation and release St. Anne's Apartments LP from its regulatory agreement with the Housing Trust Fund Corporation. This needs an explanation. Mary Ann, back to you.
Okay, and just for
Marilyn, I beg your pardon, Marilyn.
Delta Development of Western New York was the original project sponsor of St. Anne's, and they have requested that we release the property from its regulatory obligations and the mortgage. St. Anne's Apartments, it's 19 units that was attached to what was an abandoned church on an abandoned campus, including a large school and convent. The units struggled to meet the high operating costs and combating the issues related to its location. It's in a commercial corridor. The insurance carriers were also unwilling to cover the site due to the number of abandoned properties immediately adjacent to the building. Residents were concerned given the surrounding abandoned buildings. The grounds were being used as a dumping ground for the neighborhood and drug activity in the immediate vicinity. Delta Development, which themselves put in over $1 million to try to sustain the project, was originally funded, bear with me 1 second, was originally funded as a result of the Catholic Diocese of Buffalo. Sorry, I lost my page regarding that, but and they have been a long-term partner in affordable housing, but the actual conditions of this project were unsustainable. At this point in time, they do have a developer that has approached them that would like to purchase that building along with the other abandoned properties and turn it into a large-scale medical development, which would affect the necessary changes to provide safe and affordable housing in the neighborhood and provide temporary and long-term permanent jobs for the area. So that is the request, and I am happy to answer any questions. And if you need any color commentary in addition to what I've stated, I have a co-presenter with this one. Lenny Skrill, I believe, is also on the line.
I am Marilyn.
Thank you.
I should have mentioned when I, oh, go ahead. Sorry. Is that?
I just was wondering how many people, are people still living there?
No.
No,
No,
okay.
The remaining tenants were moved out about 7 years ago.
All right. And then my other question is just a high level thing. What lessons have we learned from these two projects, right, that will help us in the future?
I would say with this one, don't build affordable housing that's attached to something else that we don't have control over.
Yeah, just to comment on that, at the time these were developed, the church was active, the parish was active. Some of the decline in the neighborhood and the parish has come since the time we made these awards.
Did the proceeds of the sale come back to the agency?
The church steeple was not falling down initially.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. It was when we funded it, it was a small but vibrant Catholic diocese. And going back to I think James' question, the proceeds of the sale to properly be divided between Delta Development and the HTFC.
I just wanted to add sort of a context that I shouldn't have added before, that when we appointed Jason to oversee the statewide asset management, sort of the three big portfolios there are the HFA portfolio, the Mitchell-Lama portfolio, and Mariline's portfolio. Mariline's portfolio is very large. It is all over the place, and it consists of lots of very, very small buildings that are often owned and managed by, as evidenced here, sometimes entities that, now that it's been 30 years later, are sort of defunct. She has a very complicated and challenging portfolio. And I mention that because Mariline is retiring. And Mariline is wonderful. She is a force of nature, and she is lovely to work with, and she's incredibly committed, and we will miss her dearly. But it's also a very well-deserved retirement, so we're very happy for you, Mariline, and congratulate you on that. But we will miss you.
Thank you very much. I feel it a privilege to have worked with so many long-term committed, talented members for housing our fellow citizens in the state of New York. I also want to mention I have been in Chazy, New York. I've been there several times. I'm familiar with the area. If you venture up there, which I would recommend, dress warmly.
Nice. Good thread, Ken. Good thread.
All right. All right. Marilyn, thank you.
Marilyn.
Thank you for your great service to the agencies in the state of New York. And any other questions for Marilyn while we have her on the line for this particular project she has worked out? I think Ruth Ann found a diplomatic way to say that you've got a portfolio of very challenging projects, and we're grateful to you for taking them on. If there are any further questions, let's go back to Sarah and help Marilyn out by getting this done.
Now, before the HTFC members is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board. All in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
All right. I think next we got 14, a resolution authorizing entry into a contract with Frank Consulting Group for technical assistance support services. Back to Crystal for this one.
Hello. HTFC is responsible for administration of the state's home and CDBG programs that total over $75 million annually, and we have received additional COVID recovery funding, $127 million under CDBG and $93 million under home ARP. Technical assistance services are urgently required for a trust fund to ensure ongoing compliance with federal regulations and adherence to expenditure deadlines for these program areas. OCR requests approval to enter into a single source contract with Frank Consulting Group for the provision of technical assistance services. Monty Frank is a vendor with over 40 years of experience in community development and affordable housing, has extensive knowledge of HUD's requirements, and is uniquely suited to provide this assistance. authorization of a contract with Frank for the provision of technical assistance services is being presented to the members for approval for a 4-year period in a total contract amount not to exceed $98,000. Happy to answer any questions from the members.
Thank you, Crystal. I don't have any. Anybody else have any questions for Crystal? Sarah, Sarah, let's go to you.
Now before the HTFC members is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Resolution authorizing an amendment to the contract with Sachs BST LLP for independent auditor services. And Stacy Mickle will present this item. Yeah,
Good morning. Today I'm presenting to the board a request for a second extension, time-only extension to the BS&T contract. They were our prior auditors. This year, if you recall, we have Lumsden and McCormick as our new auditor for the next 5 years. Unfortunately, with COVID, there were several delays to the state's single audit, of which we are a component entity. And part of the BS&T contract requires submission, the fast submission for the HCV program. We previously came to the board for an extension to July 15th, but due to the significant delay on the state single audit of last year, which we did not receive until about the day before, I think it was July 14th when we got it, BS&T was unable to complete the fast submission as required for the fiscal year ending 2021. So we need to extend them again to ensure that they have adequate time to complete this component of their contract. But as I mentioned, it is a time-only extension. I'm happy to answer any other questions that any of the members have.
No, I think that's good. Sarah, let's do it.
First, for the HTFC Audit Committee, is the resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC Audit Committee. All in favor, please say aye.
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 And the resolution adopted. And now for the same item before the HTFC members is the resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. Great. 16, a resolution authorizing the extension of the contract with Rapid Construction and Management. And Anika Shaw is going to present this item.
Hi, good morning. So Ghost are seeking a contract extension for a Rapid Construction Management without a new competitive award process. This vendor was previously selected on an RFP for professional services for residential construction services. So Ghost are now requesting an additional 1-year extension of the contract with a new termination date of October 15, 2023. Rapid has engaged in construction services since 2016 and has developed an irreplaceable knowledge of the housing program and is privy to issues concerning all of the program's projects. The replacement of Rapid for the remaining projects would disrupt program closeout and potentially elongate the tenure of the remaining applicants in the program. Moreover, Rapid provides limited scope residential repair construction, property maintenance, and minor repairs, which were anticipated to be closed out in 2022. Ghost is requesting the additional extension to allow this vendor to complete those tasks. Procuring new vendors would be a costly addition for such a limited duration of time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. If there are no questions about this extension, let's give it over to Sarah.
Now before the HTFC members is the resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Thank you, Sarah, for your help with all of these items. The remainder of the agenda, the remaining items on our agenda this morning are informational. They're in the materials, of course. There'll be no presentation unless requested by members, and they include a review of seeker concur summaries, a review of type 2 seeker summaries, a review of a correction to a public housing drug elimination program resolution, and a review of agency procurements and contracts in the lobbying restricted period. There being no further business for the HFA, AHC, and HTFC boards and for the Finance and Program Committee, I'll ask Alex, please, for motions and seconds to adjourn this morning's meetings.
Assuming the first and seconds previously entered for HFA, AHC, and HTFC boards and for the Finance Committee, all in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motions are carried. The meetings are adjourned. Our next HFA, AHC, and HTFC meetings are Thursday, October 13th at 9 a.m.
Great. And again, just to confirm with everybody, in our earlier discussion with more of our colleagues here, we agreed on 9 o'clock, so that's fine. Lil will make sure people are aware of either the option of coming here to the office or whatever we're allowed to do remotely. Alex, good job. We finished before the afternoon, just barely. But I think this is, my friends, the price we pay for the August break. We have a very, very big agenda today, but we got through it. And thanks, everybody, for your patience and participation. All right?
Thank you, Ken.
All right. Have a good day.
Thanks,
See you on October.
Bye, P. Bye, Joyce.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Joyce. Bye, B.
Yeah.
It is nice to see the pipeline in action again.
We're happy
Here,
to have
here.
it. Yeah, thank you, Joyce.
Agree with you, Joyce.
Everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
All right.
Well, it's like 2 hours HFA SONYMA, 1 hour HTFC. You know, sometimes we can get HFA